all you pretty little people. This is the Pretty Little Podcast. I'm your host, Deadbeat Chad, and with me is perpetual special guest Jess.
Yeah, I'm here.
That's you.
Right across the table from you.
And we're here.
We are here.
And this is the Pretty Little Podcast.
It is. And we're here.
And we're together.
And there's Chad.
Doing this.
And then Jess.
Which is part 2
on the podcast
of our Ti West Trilogy series.
True. Yes.
This
What's
film,
it called? Is it just called the Ti West Trilogy? Does it have a name?
That's just what it's referred to
as. No,
as.
I know because he's the director, but I didn't know if it was like known as something.
That's what I've seen people call it online.
Okay.
So
yeah.
That's what I use.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to our episode on X and Pearl, go fucking listen to that first and then come back. This will still be here, I promise. Because we're going to talk about Maxxine, which we just watched, and then our impressions on the trilogy as a whole. So go fucking listen to X Pearl and then come back. And, if you already have.
And also, maybe go watch the movies if you haven't.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely.
Because we're going to spoil the shit out of them.
Absolutely.
Anything we cover on this podcast is going to be spoiled. So
yeah,
you have been warned.
Yeah, absolutely. How the fuck are you supposed to talk about something without spoiling things?
I don't know.
I'm not interested.
You have to get real vague,
and I
hate that shit.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested. Nope.
Because then you have to do that thing where it's like, well, I don't want to give too much away, but it's like when he comes in and then that thing happens,
with that guy,
and then the other thing,
and
it's just
my god, it's like,
go fuck yourself.
Dude.
Just say it. Just talk about it, and go watch the shit before you listen to this.
Yeah, no, when this comes out, Maxxine will be out on Blu-ray, right? We're releasing this around that time.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Early October is when.
Because we had to pay. We rented it on Amazon Video.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, we had to pay for Pearl and X, too, because we bought the Blu-ray.
Fair. I bought the Blu-rays for Pearl and X for you, and then you paid for the rental of Maxxine. So I'm sure you'll get it on Blu-ray in time, but...
Yeah, I mean... Look, we'll get into why this one I feel is the weakest of the three.
I did not care for this very much.
I kind of knew already it was going to be because
I didn't know anything about it other than you said it was about the Night Stalker and took place in 1985.
Well,
that's fine.
I said it was about Maxxine, but it takes place in 1985 during the Richard Ramirez Night Stalker situation.
Like, you and I are both true crime nerds. We listen to last podcast like we do.
Right.
I know a lot about Richard Ramirez.
Yeah, I know way too much about him.
Yeah.
And which,
bad teeth.
Yes.
Bad teeth.
That is kind of the backdrop of this movie, but it's not even like...
Well, it's purposeful, like, what's the word?
We're going to go ahead and give it away. It's a misdirection.
That's the word. Thank you.
That's what it is.
It's very obvious. If you know anything about Richard Ramirez, clearly he's not the one committing these murders.
It ties in pretty cleverly with the plot.
Yeah.
Although
only
you do kind of know
anything about Richard Ramirez.
Exactly, because we're watching it and we're like, this is not what he was doing.
Nope.
This is a misdirection.
Nope.
He's the red herring.
Yep.
Someone else is the killer.
But I mean, to be fair, it does add to the the atmosphere of like nervousness and terror, like for women in LA at that time.
Right, and there were a lot of copycats.
There were.
So
yeah, because Richard Ramirez's MO changed. Like, depending on what he felt like in the moment, right? So, like, sometimes he raped, sometimes he killed, sometimes he didn't, sometimes he robbed, so it
was a crime of opportunity.
Right, and it gave people a lot of chances to kind of go and get their own shit done and then just blame it on him.
Right.
Because he didn't have a specific, very rigid MO like a lot of
and it was one of those things, too, where, like, someone was going to get caught.
Yeah.
Whoever it was going to get pinned for all of this.
Yeah,
so if there's 5 or 6 of these people out there doing this, then the probability of you being the one that gets caught is very low.
Yeah. Well, especially if you just really want to go kill one person. Like, fuck this guy, woman probably, in particular. I'm going to go, and then I'll just carve a pentagram on her and say, haha, fuck you.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
Then it'll be blamed on him, so.
But yeah, so okay. Do we want to give our opinion of this movie at the end, or we want to do it now and then go over it? Or
I mean, it's up to you.
Because I will say this. Look, Maxxine, I understand the appeal of a character like Maxxine, right?
Yeah.
She's pretty. She kind of does her own thing.
Does a great job again.
She kind of girl bosses her way through this movie.
Yeah.
She has a plan for everything.
Yeah.
She's prepared at all times.
I will say that it's nice that she actually involves other people in her plans at one particular. Like, she finds someone to trust right? So she's not entirely on her own throughout the whole movie.
But I understand the idea of a Maxxine character.
Sure.
She appeals to men, she appeals to women. I get it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, following her through this movie was not fun.
No.
It was kind of boring.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Mainly because you don't really... I never felt like she was really in danger.
The problem is I go back to it, and we'll talk about this a little bit more probably in the trilogies as a whole section. I like Pearl better than Maxxine. I've now seen Maxxine in 2 movies. I've seen Pearl in 2 movies, right? With the overlap in X. Right. And Maxxine just... She has moments where I'm like, fuck yeah. Like... And I do respect her for achieving her dreams no matter what, to a point, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't relate much to her. And she's not, I don't know, man. I just like Pearl better. Like twice while we were watching the movie, I was like, I wish I was watching Pearl again. Yeah. Can we just go watch that again?
Yeah.
That's the strongest.
I think we're both on the same page that out of the 3 movies, Pearl was the more enjoyable film.
Pearl and then Maxxine and then X for me.
I'm Pearl, X, and then Maxxine. We can go
into why I like more side characters more strongly in Maxxine than I do in X. And that's probably why. Like Giancarlo Esposito, Teddy Knight Esquire, right? I loved him. I loved Leon.
He's the chicken man.
Well, yeah.
From Breaking Bad, for those who don't know.
Yeah, and he's her agent. I loved him.
Yeah, he's great in this movie.
Leon, I liked a lot while he was around. Her like friend who owns the video store.
Right.
The director, Elizabeth, I actually like her. I like what she's trying to do. Molly wasn't in it for very long, but she was like, what's her fucking name? Mitzi from Pearl?
Yeah,
like
she had that quality to her.
Side character. Are you just like, oh, she's genuinely nice and wants to help you?
Right.
She's gonna die. Like, I know.
Yeah, this is another one of those movies where, unfortunately, all 3 of these movies suffer from this, where as soon as they introduce a character, if they're going to make it or not.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious which characters are going to die and which ones aren't.
This one had the most scenes, and it's only really 2 that I can think of that I did not enjoy watching. Weta did the prosthetics. Mm-hmm. Which to me, they always, like, I first learned about that company with Lord of the Rings. Like, they did all the, like, effects.
Yeah, I mean, they've done tons of shit.
I know that, but, like, that's always connected in my head. And it's good. They do a good job. But, like, that guy who tries to go after her in the alley.
Yeah.
That was disgusting.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
I don't want to think about it. And then Kevin Bacon in the car with the keys. I was like, and Leon to a point too, just because I don't like watching repeated stabbings.
There's only been one stabbing in a movie that really got me.
Zodiac.
I
already know.
The stabbing scene in that movie is way too realistic.
In the park, right?
Yes.
The couple with the
when they have the couple tied up and he's stabbing them in the back.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Although the Leon slash, like, down the face.
That looked fake as hell to me.
It was cool, though. But see, that kind of, I like that better because it kind of harkens back to 80s horror movies. Like, that kind of...
Yeah. I mean, much like Pearl and X, like, this movie definitely takes place in 1985. It really wants you to know it's 1985.
I will say Ti West is very good at really... submerging you into a time period. He did it with X, he did it with Pearl, he did it with Maxine.
Right. And the entire film has this like quality to it that looks like what a television looked like in 1985.
Like what I feel like the inside of your head looks like a lot. Like,
I mean, it's got that analog quality to it, where it's the
80s music,
the filters that they're using. It's got the soft diffusion style filters. Everything's got this like dreamy, soft quality to it, just like films and TV shows from the 80s had.
Yeah, much like the Technicolor stuff in Pearl. Now
so aesthetically, this movie nails it. Much like I think I mentioned in the first part, Panos Cosmatos does this with Mandy and Beyond the Black Rainbow very well.
Right.
And this movie had that same
Color
quality to it. So yes, aesthetically, this is my favorite of the three.
Of course, you love the 80s like no one else I've ever met.
It's just a good time.
Genuinely. I don't. How do you even remember them?
I remember through them. I remember them through TV and movies.
You remember them through Little Child, Chad.
Yes.
So of course it was your favorite time.
The only thing I remember about the 80s was like Smurfs and Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I remember spinning around in the dark while my parents watched the new episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and I had a Rolo in my mouth because I remember the theme song going on and I started choking on the Rolo.
Yeah.
That's the 80s.
That's why your memory is tied to it, because you almost died.
I did. Well, I've almost died lots. It's okay. I'm still here.
But yeah, aesthetically, this movie is my favorite.
Yeah. Like the credits were super cool.
Yeah.
He's really good with like nailing every aspect of a time period.
Mm-hmm. And much like I had mentioned in the first part with Pearl and X, Mia Goth fits right in the 80s.
She does great.
Like
she really is a fucking chameleon, man.
Yeah.
I believe her in whatever it is.
Well, she's kind of like when you see her, like no makeup, her hair's not done anything. She's just kind of a blank canvas.
Yeah, but that's what you want.
Yes, it's much like a supermodel.
Whatever.
Where you just want a blank canvas that you can paint the face, do the hair, put in an outfit, and just. But
she does kill it in this movie. Again, like for all that X and Maxxine are not my favorite movies of all time, nowhere close to it. I have to admit, like, she does an amazing job. And she even gets a chance at a little monologue right at the camera again at the beginning, which I enjoy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's really good at that shit, man.
And I will also say that X and Pearl did a much better job at tying one another together.
I have so many questions still that I really hoped were going to be answered in this movie, because this is a trilogy and this is supposed to be the end of it, right?
Well, Ti West has gone on record saying that he is not opposed to making more. So as of right now,
Ti
yes,
West,
it's a trilogy.
I know you're a big fan of the podcast. Thank you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Will you please fucking explain the connection between Pearl and Maxxine? Because, and I don't just mean because they're played by the same actress. In fucking X, Pearl says, oh, we have the same face. People comment on, there is this weird connection between them. Yeah. And it is never resolved. And I was really hoping that we would get that.
That doesn't bother me near as much as it bothers you.
Well, it's a fucking plot. Okay, look. I own a publishing house. I'm an editor. I do developmental edits. I notice fucking plot points. And when they're not resolved, it sticks in my craw. I don't God damn it. Then why have it there at all? Like, take away those couple of lines in X, and sure, I can buy that it's the same actress and not be like bothered by that. Who cares? Sure. Yeah. You know, I'm used to movies that have like similar cast of characters or TV shows like American Horror Story or, you know, like Mighty Boosh. Sure. Or like your Wes Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
Or, you know, like there's different directors that have groups of
actors.
Paul
Thomas Anderson. Wes Anderson does that too.
I get those two fucking confused.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the ensemble cast.
So
they're in pretty much every movie. They play different characters.
Could be Pearl and Maxxine.
Yes,
and there'd be no connection, and I'm fine with that.
I didn't even bat an eye at that.
No, I don't care about that. But you made a connection and then didn't resolve it or explain it, so now I'm irritated.
Well, maybe he will do another movie, and maybe you'll get your wish. But as of right now, I don't think you're going to have it.
No, and that, God damn it.
And even if there is another movie, I doubt it's going to be anytime soon.
No, I'm probably the only one that gives a shit. Whatever. You want to go over this movie?
Yeah.
We're already kind of touching on, you know, the trilogy as a whole, and what I'm sure that'll continue. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be its own segment.
No. Well, even with the Pearl and X, we kind of went back and forth. But let's talk about Maxxine with 3 X's. Hello.
Because she's a porn star.
She is.
Turned actress.
Yeah, but she wants to be a serious actress.
Yeah.
So the movie opens in 1959, this old home movie with little girl Maxxine dancing around.
She's on like a stage, kind of like you would see at a fair or something.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's inside I assume, because it's her dad, her preacher dad, recording it. I assume it's like where he preaches from.
Yeah.
You know, like those old like tent like revival style Southern preacher things. Like
it's in black and white, which fits the time.
Yeah, and he's like, oh yay. And they basically, the only thing that's really important there is, you know, he's like telling her like she's amazing and whatever. And he says, now, what do I always say?
This is where we learn her catchphrase, basically.
Which is, I will not accept a life I do not deserve.
Yeah.
Which that's pretty good motto.
Sure.
I like that.
Yeah. I'm
growing into that more and more this year. So, yeah. So that's kind of that old style movie. And then we cut ahead to 1985, the movie lot. Now, this is something that I did like about this movie is all of the fucking Hollywood sets and places that we know from like movies and TV and stuff like that that are featured.
One that was prominent was the Bates Motel.
Yeah, the Bates Motel from Psycho. Yeah. I swear that one courthouse she came out of is the one from Back to the Future. I don't know that for certain, but it really looks like it. With
it
the
looked like
in front.
It looked like that area from Back to the Future.
Yeah,
with the city hall and the bell tower or the clock tower and all that.
The clock tower. Yeah. That area. That it looks like it to me. I don't know whether it is. But yeah, so you get to see a lot of the backlots. You get to see like the grittier, like the truth of Hollywood, right? Is like the theme of this movie.
Yeah.
And I do like that it's shown in not so on the nose ways as the backlots, like going into the Bates Hotel, and you see it's not real. Right? It looks like it's so iconic and yet it's fake. And I know.
Yeah, because I mean, when it comes to Hollywood, they're only going to build what's going to be on camera.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why the fuck would they build the whole thing?
It's just more on the budget.
It would make it very difficult for the cameras to maneuver around and lighting and whatever. But I mean, there is a point where Elizabeth, who we'll get to eventually, the director of the movie that, she's actually in this first scene. She talks about like how, isn't it astounding how real everything looks, but it's a facade.
Right.
None of this is real. So that is the theme of this fucking movie for sure.
And the theme also is that Hollywood is just like a cesspool for just debauchery.
Sure.
Right. That
everything is sin and Satan in this movie.
And this was very prominent at the time.
Yeah.
I was way, way, way too young to remember this being a thing, but just because I've listened to podcasts and I know history and shit, at this point in time, the Satanic Panic was a real thing.
Yeah.
Like parents were really worried that Hollywood, the music industry, things like Dungeons and Dragons were just possessing their children's soul.
Our generation was like Marilyn Manson, Pokemon, Harry Potter. Those were like the big devil things, right? And one of these things is not like that. I mean, none of them are devils. But how are you going to put Marilyn Manson and Pokemon?
If you dissect anything, I'm sure you can find something demonic about it. Sure. You know what I mean? If you're looking for it, especially if you're looking for a reason to deem it demonic, then
yeah.
You can find anything.
But, and I mean, they do lean heavily into that. A lot of it's through like news stories and stuff that pop up throughout the movie. But anyways, it's a movie lot in 1985. The big door opens and Maxine struts her ass in.
Which again, that ties it back to X and Pearl because they both have those openings where there's a door.
Yeah.
And it's the barn in X and Pearl.
Right.
And then in this, it's the audition.
Yeah, the movie lot. So which I know that is a particularly famous, it's like Warner Brothers 15 or something. A lot of big movies are filmed there.
Sure.
And I do. I briefly read a Variety article while we were watching this movie about all the different sets that were used. Because I was trying to find where that one fucking house was, because there's like later on there's a very distinctive house in the Hollywood Hills, and it's in a goddamn movie that I can't fucking think of that isn't Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because yes, it is that house, but it's also another fucking house that this woman lives in, and there's a shootout, and it's driving me crazy. And so I tried to Google it, and I couldn't fucking find anything about that house in particular and what movies were filmed there. So if anybody fucking knows anything about the rambling I'm doing now, please help me. It's driving me crazy. So she walks in all in denim. Jesus Christ, so much denim. Her hair is great. I do like the long blonde wavy hair.
Her hair looks good.
That's good. The denim, no. With the gold zipper, but whatever. It's very of the time. She is very of the time.
Yeah.
I'll give it
And we
that.
do find out when she parks her car that she has a vanity plate that says Maxxine
With 3 X's.
With 3 X's.
Yeah.
Which at this point in history would have been a boss fucking move. Now it's just any douchebag in the world can have whatever fucking bullshit they want on their license plate.
Yeah.
But like
It costs like $20.
Yeah. Back then it was like
it's like a status.
Yeah,
symbol.
it was for sure.
But yeah, so she walks in and sits down. And she's here for an audition. That we learn that she is now a very popular porn star. She's made a name for herself in the adult film industry. But of course, it's Maxxine. She wants more, right? She wants to be a star. She is a star. I am a fucking star. You're a fucking star. Yeah. All of that stuff. So she's come to audition for this horror movie called The Puritan 2. And, it's a basic audition. She sits and, there's like a table full of people. One of them we learn later is Elizabeth, who's the director.
Right.
And, they're like, they basically like they're looking over her headshots and talking to her like why do you want to be in this movie? I assume it's the director and the producers and the casting director. Usually that's
they're basically running down the gambit of questions you would ask. And one of the first things they ask is like when she says she was a well-established porn star, they were like, well, is that something that you like aspired to be? Why are you here now? That type of shit. And she was basically like, look, porn's taken me as far as I can go.
I'm 33.
I'm 33 years old. And in this industry, women age like bread, not wine.
Yeah, which is a good line.
So she's trying to move on from it. She feels like she's aging out of the porn industry.
Well, I definitely feel like that wasn't necessarily something she sought out to begin with. It's just kind of something she fell into.
Right.
Kind of in X. And it worked out. So why not? But she, I don't know, they set the scene. She has a monologue to do. And this is, I really like this because you see Mia Goth as Maxxine. It's like layers of acting, right? So it's Mia Goth acting as Maxxine, who is about to act like this person in the film. And,
right.
So she like calms and centers herself and kind of slumps forward and like, and does a great
she
fucking
delivers
job.
A line great.
Right to camera again.
And then it's punctuated immediately by show us your tits.
Well, that's after because it's a horror movie. It's an 80s horror movie. But
it's like she still can't get away from it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I feel like that's the next step, right? Like the slasher B horror movies are they're a step up from porn, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
She's got and she still has, her body's fine, so might as well. But no, she does a great job. And again, she really is a good actress. Like even Maxxine. Mm-hmm. Like she is a good actress. And she's like, well, acting's acting, right? I can do this.
Far better than Pearl.
Yeah. No, Pearl had aspirations, but not a whole lot of actual talent. Maxxine has both.
Well, it's almost like it's one of those things too.
Got
it's
stuck
like
in porn for a long time.
It's like who put in the work? You got to put in work to actually.
I will say Pearl was far more entitled.
Yes.
Yes,
she's like absolutely.
Then
she felt like
Maxxine.
She was deserved because she wanted it so bad.
Because yes.
She was also very sheltered, very trapped in her own bubble of in her own mind too of being it's that delusions of grandeur mentality of I'm so selfish that I don't even know that I am making myself the most important person in the world.
I do think part of that also just plays into the time period she lived in too. She was a farm girl, like movies were just becoming like a thing.
Right. There were a handful of people even making movies.
Right. And even in that movie, she doesn't audition for a film. She auditions for a traveling church dance troupe.
Right.
I think she was probably, I don't know.
And she didn't get the part, whereas Maxxine goes in for hers and she does.
Maxxine always succeeds. She gets the porn, she becomes a porn star. She gets the part in the horror movie. And then by the end of the movie, we find out, if all of that's true, that she becomes, like she achieves her goals.
Yeah. But yeah, Pearl did nothing to deserve being famous. And Maxxine, like, she had to go through the the bullshit to get where she is now.
Sure.
That is the porn industry.
Yes.
Which typically just chews up and spits out women.
That, again, I like Pearl as a movie better than either of these other two. But as far as like motivations and who deserves, Pearl throws tantrums.
Yeah.
Right?
Maxine
like
deserves.
a toddler, like an entitled little toddler. Maxine fucked her way through things, killed people, no matter what, she kept her eye on the prize and was like, I will do, like, Pearl telling herself she's a star is like she's trying to convince herself. Maxine, it's like, Maxine uses it as motivation. She's like, never fucking forget you're a star. Whereas Pearl's like, but I'm a star, and ugh. So, not upset Pearl.
Which should make me not like Pearl.
I know, but I still like that movie.
And I still
better.
like her better than Maxine.
Yeah.
So take that for what it is.
But I mean, Maxine did have a few moments in this movie where I was like, fuck yeah, like with the keys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she does girl boss her way through this movie, and that's why I can understand, like, she's a very appealing character.
I don't use that term. I think it's a fucking stupid term.
I think people
why does it have to be a girl? just fucking boss your way through it. Whatever. No. It's fine. It's a term. That's what people will say.
Yeah, that's why I use the term. But
I know.
I understand. Look, I think that people are far more into the idea and aesthetic of the Maxine character than they are this movie, because there's not much to this movie.
No.
There was far more going on in X and Pearl. This seemed like there was just 10-minute stretches that were just kind of like nothing really happening, but then they were just like cramming in like this is at 1985. Don't forget, here's a montage of the president speaking. Here's Dee Snider defending himself in court.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know it happened. I don't actually remember it happened.
Right.
I was too little.
It just seems like anytime the movie would start like getting off track or not really being as entertaining as it can be, it just relied heavily on montages of the 80s.
Yeah, sure.
And things that were happening.
I don't know. I feel like more happened in this movie than X. I mean, X took place like on a farm. I mean, aside from like the gas station in the beginning.
The first half of X is very much like this movie, where it's just kind of stuff happening. It's just a day in the life of, and it took a while to get it to ramp up to what it is.
I like the pacing of this one better than X personally, because X was like nothing.
I found Maxine to be very slow. I found it to be very slow, and then like in X, nothing kind of really happens until even the murders in this are not like. It just seems like it's a subplot, right?
Yes, but
it doesn't feel
bad.
I mean,
maybe it was. What were your expectations for this?
My expectations for this was that it was going to be Maxine trying to make a movie during the Richard Ramirez murders, and that he was eventually going to target her because she was famous and she got on his radar. And I thought the movie was going to be her dealing with Richard Ramirez.
Oh yeah, no, he is not in this movie. They talk about the Night Stalker throughout, news broadcasts and different characters talk about it going on throughout the movie. And then you see him when he's caught, like at the end of the movie. They don't even name him.
No, they just call him the Night Stalker.
Ramirez.
They don't even know his name yet because he hasn't been arrested.
Yeah, well, at the very end of the movie, he's like being taken away.
Right.
But that's it. So all of that has nothing to do with it, really, other than to add to the atmosphere of dread and horror.
It just gave the actual killer an excuse to get to Maxine.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which the actual killer, that whole thing was stupid.
It was not the best.
Because you and I were theorizing throughout.
Yeah.
And I wish it would have been better.
Do you want to go ahead and say who we thought it was going to be?
Well, what made the most sense for us, even though he would be very old, was for it to be Howard.
Yeah.
Because he did have a heart attack in X, but we never saw his dead body. And we were like, I asked you, I was like, did you see his body when the cops showed up?
And I couldn't remember.
I couldn't remember either.
So
obviously Pearl's dead. She got squeezed.
My theory on this was that Howard was not in fact dead.
Yeah.
He knows that Maxine ran over Pearl and killed her. And now he's on revenge to kill Maxine.
Right.
That's what I thought this was.
Well, and he already didn't approve of the porn stuff in X as well.
Yeah.
So maybe even if not revenge, he was finishing his wife's work, right? Because Pearl was trying to kill Maxine. Like, she killed everybody else. She didn't kill Maxine.
Well, the reason why I thought it could have been Howard too is because the killer in this movie, the actual killer, they keep showing him from behind or his hands, and it's always gloved. And it's like, okay, they're trying to hide the fact that he has very old hands. Mm-hmm. That was kind of my thing, was like, that this has to be Howard, right? And no, it's not.
It's dumber. I realized Howard would have been old because like the whole thing is the killer hires this private detective played by Kevin Bacon to track Maxine down because of what happened in Texas. That is the reason we are given. Mm-hmm. Which it would make sense for it to be Howard if he wasn't actually dead.
Which when you find out,
gone back and looked at X to see if
when you find out who the killer actually is, I don't know how they managed to know about this.
Yeah, how did he know about what?
I don't know how he managed to get his hand on the tape that they made.
The police evidence, yeah.
I have no idea. They don't even mention that. They don't go over it. They don't. All we know is that it's a rich, eccentric person that throws parties in the hills.
Yes.
And when women go to these parties, and it usually targets, the aspiring actresses, things of that nature, the porn stars, because it's a lavish home directly under the Hollywood sign.
Right.
It's, that's where you want to be. And so these women, actresses, whatever, porn stars, strippers, whatever it is, they all go to these parties and they end up dying.
Yeah. How did her...
Which is not what Richard Ramirez was doing.
No.
Which was breaking into homes.
He was breaking into homes, sometimes raping, sometimes killing, sometimes torturing.
Right. But he was not...
burgling.
He was not an eccentric millionaire that lived in the hills of Hollywood.
No, this is like a Batman villain. Like, it's freaking weird shit. And I don't like it very much. But anyways, so... Yeah, I don't know. She kills the audition. I'm bringing it back. She kills the audition, struts out, and drives off. That's where you see her license plate as Maxine.
I do like her delivery on the girls that are sitting in line. That was pretty good. Y'all might as well go home because I fucking nailed
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get a montage, the first of a couple. News stories, just basically for people who maybe aren't super familiar with it, it's setting the scene, right? It's storytelling. You get Reagan saying people like America's best days are not behind us, and there's a lot of drugs and satanic panic shit, a lot of violence, a lot of murders, and
because the girls that are being killed at this party, when they find the bodies, they've got like satanic markings carved into them, pentagrams and shit like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
This will be my one time of saying in this episode, pentagrams and pentacles are not satanic symbols.
No.
Thank you.
But in the 80s, they didn't know.
I know. I'm not going to harp on it because that was accurate for the time, but I was pagan for a long fucking time. That will always irritate me.
Yeah.
Even though I don't believe in anything anymore at all. But yeah, so, and then you learn about the Night Stalker going around killing women in LA. Like you said, Dee Snider, goes and speaking to Congress. There's a lot of there's definitely these two sides of media is corrupting our children. And then, other people going, you're out of your fucking mind.
So now, because of all that shit going on, you've got a bunch of people that don't want this movie, The Puritan 2, to get made.
Right. Yeah. And there's protests.
So there's protests throughout the movie, on the lot, by parents or just concerned citizens.
Which
that this
does
movie
play into the killer and stuff at the end.
Yeah, it does.
It's very heavy-handed to me.
Yeah,
honestly.
That you find out that religion is like an undertone for this movie.
Yeah, until it becomes the overtone. Is that a word? I don't know.
And honestly, kind of in all of them.
Yeah.
There is a religious aspect to all three of these movies.
Sure. Yeah, and the whole concept of sin really plays
yes.
a role.
Sin and vice with the sex and drugs.
Yeah. And murder.
Yeah, the murders.
Murder's a sin.
Yeah.
That's a no-no.
Well, and just Hollywood in general being the mecca for sin and corruption.
Influence on kids and stuff.
Yes.
Like that. Which isn't necessarily wrong.
I agree 100% that Hollywood is a cesspool of bullshittery.
Leave Satan out of this. What did he do?
Yeah, no. Satan has nothing to do with Hollywood.
If you've ever known an actual Satanist, and I've known several, they're very lovely people, and people don't understand Satanism at all. Maybe do some actual research and
Hollywood
talk to your fucking pastor.
Hollywood is its own unique brand of fuckery.
Yeah. Well,
and we're finding out more and more now because, God, how long? We can't go a fucking week anymore without hearing some more bullshit out of Hollywood.
Well, not just Hollywood, but like entertainment in general. This is definitely the year of the pedophile, at least, especially when it comes to like YouTube and stuff like that.
Or scandals of any kind.
Jeebus Fleebus, as Nux says. Anyways, let's go to the strip club. I hate the name. It's okay. I will say, because you and I are watching Ozark with Mom still. This is not as bad as the strip club in that one, because that one is called Lickety Splits, and I hate that with every fiber of my being.
This is also like in X when their van just said like plowing service or whatever on the side of it. It's that type of thing.
Because this strip club is at the airport. So what's it called, John?
It's called the Landing Strip.
It sure is. See, because it's like pubes.
Well, it's also like a strip club on the landing strip.
No, that's the joke. You see, because it's like that's a style.
That's like
of like if you shave like the side.
That's an Inception level of.
We're clever.
Wordplay.
Anyway, so she gets to the landing strip, walks through and around to the back. There's a porn being filmed there, then it cuts to her like. She's sitting, I guess she's getting ready for her next like porn scene because she's in her nurse outfit. She's like sitting at the back, getting her makeup done, doing her hair. Her friend Amber comes over, who had just finished a scene and is complaining about this guy. Like how does it take him so long to fuck me? Like, who are these amateurs? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But she's taking her makeup off while Maxine's putting her makeup on. And she talks about, hey, there's a party in the hills tonight. Like, you should come with. There's going to be a lot of rich guys. Like, it's going to be awesome. And Maxine is like, yeah, no. And Amber's like, okay, suit yourself. And so
Maxine turns down every opportunity to go to a party in this movie.
Well, she's not interested. She's also preoccupied, especially later on in the movie, by other things.
And she does have quite a bit of PTSD.
Yes, she does. And I appreciate that because she fucking should. And I like that it's not overly obvious until like a little later on when suddenly it hits out of nowhere and you're like, ooh.
Right.
Because that's how I feel like that's how it would be. So
yeah, it's going to be, it takes a moment to trigger.
Yeah. So, and honestly, I feel like especially now, she really is trying to start to distance herself from that world of, porn and partying. For all that she's getting ready for a porn scene, she still has to work, right? Mm. But she really is moving on to the next thing. And part of that is, I think she wants to be eventually maybe the person that hosts the party rather than the people that go to the party. Like, no, I am.
Right.
So she's working on herself. She's not interested in going, which is for the best.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to mention that she opens a duck full of cocaine.
Yeah, there's a little ceramic duck that is
it's like a cookie jar
full of cocaine.
Like it's like a cookie jar that like your Southern grandma would have or something, but it's full of cocaine. Because true to form, Maxine does a lot of coke in this movie because old habits die hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't have the character of Maxine without cocaine.
Yeah, no. And then let's see. The phone rings and it's like old wall phone, right? Yay, wall phone.
Back in the day,
I remember wall phone.
When you had to have a cord that was like 2,000 feet long.
Leave the room with the phone.
So in case you needed to walk to the neighbor's house, you could take the phone with you. Holy shit, the fucking cord on that phone.
Yeah. I mean, that's accurate though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It.
For sure.
Yeah, no, she gets a call, and it's her agent, Teddy Knight Esquire, who's one of my favorite people in this. That's Giancarlo Esposito. Basically, telling her, well, do you want good news or bad news? This is at her apartment, by the way, because she's like getting ready to go out for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see her like laying her outfit out. She's got a small golden gun that she lays out while she's talking to him. All this shit's happening.
Right.
And he's like, well, you didn't get the Lizzie Borden music video. They liked your look, but
you did get the part in Puritan 2.
That's right. Which is
awesome. What she wanted anyway.
For her. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. But also keep in mind too, like 1985, this would have been like being in a music video would have
that was
been a lot. Yes.
People to this day talk about, like the Whitesnake music videos.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Like being a video girl was like a thing. So
yeah, music videos are not shit anymore. But back in 1985, it was a big deal to be in a music video.
Yeah. So good for her. So she gets ready, and she goes to this video store. It seems to be, is it all adult or is it just a regular video store too? It's like both.
It has,
I think.
Yeah, it's basically like, yes, there's porn because there's also like sex toys and shit on the wall.
Okay. A lot of this movie I was frantically writing, so I'm going to have to rely on you.
Yeah, there was like a little
like.
part of the wall that had like sex toys and BDSM gear, and then, yes, porn videos, but also like horror movies.
Okay.
So it's just kind of appealing to a specific type of client.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, not somebody who's there to rent a movie necessarily, but like maybe they're just in that lifestyle. So we have everything you may need.
And we meet Leon, who I liked. He's not in this movie a whole lot. I think he owns a video store. At least he works there.
I believe he is the owner.
It seems that way.
Yeah,
definitely.
it does.
And because she like walks in and she was like, name 5 stars who got their start in horror, and he's talking about like John Travolta and Carrie and like different
Jamie Lee Curtis,
right? And she was like, Maxine fucking Minx.
Yep.
And he's like,
what are you talking about? And she's like, I got the part. And he's like, oh, good for you. Yeah.
I like,
and then he's trying to, like, everybody in this movie is trying to be real with her too and be like, you don't get famous by doing horror.
Yes.
That's a very like unreasonable thing to expect.
Works out. It does.
I mean, it does.
But
it certainly would today.
Well, yes.
But back then, no, horror movies were not something that were celebrated,
time,
really.
I like the way she started with that, though. It shows where her mindset is, because there are stars who got their start in horror. Absolutely. Yes. There's not many.
Where there's a will, there is a way.
Be one of them.
Right.
So.
Well, and also from her perspective, she's like, what the fuck do I care? I'm coming from porn.
Right.
Anything that isn't that is better, right?
Yeah.
I'm moving up.
But yeah, I mean, I like their friendship. He makes a comment at one point because she was talking about, this is why I like you. And he's like, you like me because I'm the only person you know who's not trying to fuck you.
Yeah, right.
Which, good job, Leon. I like his aesthetic. He's got like the denim vest, thing with like all the spikes. And
when you find out later on that like he used to be like a male prostitute.
Right.
And I think.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not in that business anymore.
He now owns the video store or whatever.
He's doing his best.
Yeah.
And, I enjoy him. So yeah, and then there's another montage. Like it's split screen. It is done in a neat way. Like, the sliding panels, like the covered in black. It's kind of comic booky with like the frames and everything.
Right.
Of just nightlife, what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
It's another like, I don't know, way to set the scene.
Yeah, it's because look, when you're doing movies like this, the time period really should be a character.
Oh, for sure. And it is here.
It is important. 100%. It is very important.
And it's a way to really get a lot of information across in a short amount of time with no additional dialogue needed.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, done correctly, it will immediately put somebody, even if you weren't alive in the 80s.
Yeah.
To get an idea of what it was like to be in this time.
You see a lot of punks. You see a lot of like clubs.
You see a lot of teased hair, a lot of stiletto heels, a lot of fishnets.
A lot of drugs.
Tiny jackets with short skirts. Yes.
She wears those stupid white boots that a lot of people wore back then. I hate those boots.
Yeah, the white boots with the dark pantyhose.
Yeah.
That type of shit. Yes, it's that aesthetic. It's big hoop earrings. It's a lot of gaudy jewelry.
A lot of Aquanet.
Makeup.
Yeah, a lot of blue eyeshadow.
Very loud makeup.
Blue eyeshadow, bright lips.
Think Gem and the Holograms.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But in real life.
So, yeah, we get that little montage, and we end up at a peep show theater.
Yep.
And this man in black leather. And when I say a man in black leather, I don't mean any kind of sexy at all black leather. It is all like the loose.
It's like a trench coat made of leather with leather gloves, and he has this stupid hat.
Like a black, like Trilby style hat.
Yeah, and to be fair, at this point...
he's not trying to be sexy, but...
It might have been Noriega.
Oh, maybe.
I think it was Noriega clothing that he was wearing, which is just all the most... Like, this was the height of fashion because it was expensive, but it looked like dog shit.
Yeah. It's all just kind of slouchy and sloppy to me.
Yeah. Yes. And oversized. Like, it was just too big.
Yeah. Yes. It was very much too big.
Everybody was wearing things that were just slightly too big
in the wrong ways. I don't know.
Very, very heavy on the shoulder pad.
A lot of shoulder pads, man. But yeah, he basically buys a ticket. He goes into this one, it's like this half circle of doors with the girls' pictures on it. Like, hey, who do you want to see dance while you? And this poor guy fucking mopping. Like, as soon as I saw the guy with the mop, I was like, you quit a job.
I did.
You want to tell that story real quick?
Yeah. So back in the day, this was way too long ago now, but I took a job at a porn store. They sold toys, movies, what have you.
Yeah.
Magazines. But also in the back, they had a theater where you could go. You had to get tokens at the counter, and then you go put the tokens in the little viewing booths, and you would just watch a movie and do your business and leave. And my first night there, I was asked to go mop up the viewing rooms. And as soon as I saw the condition of the viewing rooms, I put the mop down and I walked out and never looked back. I went and got a job at Sonic.
Yeah, I worked at Sonic too. Oh, man. Wow.
Yeah, you don't want to do that for a living.
No.
You really don't.
No.
Not for the money they're paying you.
No.
Especially back then.
I don't even know what they would have to pay me.
It was minimum wage.
Given what I make for what I do, to do that, ooh, they could not afford me.
No.
No way. So anyways, poor mop guys mopping up. But yeah, a guy in all black leather, goes in. He picks this one door. He goes in and watches this girl dance. We learn, later on she's her name's Tabby. She's a friend of Maxine's.
Yep.
But you don't know that right now. But he doesn't he basically, she's dancing from behind the glass, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts his gloved hands on this little wooden
Yes, this is his shtick. He gets so mad.
Yes, he does.
At the debauchery of it all that he has to squeeze things and break them.
Ripping it off.
Yeah,
so hardcore. Whatever. But yeah, and then it cuts to a little later, and Maxine's waiting outside, against the wall.
What the irony here is?
What?
If they had just showed his face, we wouldn't have known who he was.
Yeah, no, that's true.
There was no point in hiding his face.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Anyways.
So Maxine's waiting for Tabby outside, right? And they talk about the Night Stalker. She's like, hey, thanks for waiting to walk with me. It's not safe to walk alone as a woman.
Right.
Because of the Night Stalker shit going on. Hey, I'm going to this party in the hills, much like Amber earlier, going to this party.
You want to come with
hills.
me?
Yeah. And she's like, nah. And
then some of this too, there's a part where it's, just to add to the realism of the character, right? She's like, hey, let me stop and get a hot dog so nobody sees me eat.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
That's
that's such a true thing.
Yes.
No one sees me eat.
Yeah.
I have to eat in secret, okay? Because I'm a lady.
I have to eat in secret.
No one can see me.
I can only legally eat things that they allow me to eat.
Yeah, they're fucking garbage. So, anyways, they're in line for the hot dogs, and they're talking.
That's where she finds out that she's in the Puritan 2.
Yeah. Yes.
And she tells her, "You're not going to make it anywhere in horror."
Yeah.
Everybody in this movie is trying
good for you, but keep your expectations reasonable.
Right. Because Maxine tells her, no, I got a real movie.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, what is it? And she's like, horror?
Well, yeah, because at first Tabby, Maxine was like, I got a part in a movie. And Tabby's like, oh, yeah, is it guy, girl, or girl, girl?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, real movie.
It's a real movie.
Oh.
But yeah, everybody's just trying to be real with Maxine and say, look, horror doesn't lead to better things.
And that's because they care about her.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm proud of you. That's amazing. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Right.
So I understand. It's a rough thing, because I think they probably know Maxine well enough to know she has that super driven side.
She has a drive. And then, yeah, there is honestly something to the character of Maxine as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where she is, she's a little trashy in her own way, but she does command respect.
She insists
in a lot of ways too.
She does not accept a life she does not deserve.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so there is something to her character that you could really look at her and be like, okay, I could see what people see as your potential to be a star.
Yeah.
Especially since, like, you know, you're a canvas.
Yeah. Yes. Very much so.
You're a canvas that can act. That's what Hollywood wants.
Yeah. So anyways, they get Tabby gets a taxi, you know, and so she's off to the party. Maxine starts walking down. She does put her cigarette out on Theta Barra's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which Theta.
We find out that the alligator was named after Theta Barra.
I like that. It's just, there are little tiny nods in this that I like shit like that. That's fun. But yeah, and then she starts like walking down an alley. You know, there's
which is what you wouldn't do.
She doesn't care. That is what sets her apart from these other women.
She has a gun on her, so
yes,
I guess yeah.
Well, and she's killed before,
right? And
no one is stopping her from doing what the fuck she wants. You know, it's that whole thing. But unlike a lot of people, especially nowadays, she backs that shit up at like every opportunity. Yep. And she's actually a bad bitch that you don't mess with. Mm-hmm. Like, truthfully.
No, yeah, definitely.
So, but this guy follows, and I mean, I don't know what you thought. I assumed it was the guy in black at first, you know, from the Peep Show, right? Because I didn't really see who it was.
Oh, at first?
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a misdirection. Mm. I at least knew it wasn't Richard Ramirez.
Oh, well, no. Well, we already knew. Well, first of all, Richard Ramirez never did the leather hat.
Yeah, like,
shit like that.
Exactly.
He could not have afforded any of that.
Which is honestly why they kept the face hidden, because you would know it wasn't Richard Ramirez.
I guess. I really think they're just assuming that maybe a lot of people who watch this aren't as I don't know the term, because depraved is a little hard. But you and I know a lot about serial killers.
The reason why I thought it was Howard too was because they went out of their way to hide his face and his hands. Yeah. If they had just shown his face, I wouldn't have known it was.
It's only been like 6 years since X.
Yeah.
He could conceivably, if he survived his heart attack, be alive.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know,
he could be at the end of it, and maybe he got a cancer diagnosis or something, or he's dying. So he's like, I'm going to take Maxine out before I do. Yeah. You know, I really thought this was going to be Howard.
It's not Howard. God damn it. But yeah, no, there's this guy, and I mean, you actually did see him briefly during the montage of nightlife, like on the way to the Peep Show. He was one of the people that flashed on the screen, this guy that comes after her.
Oh, yeah.
He looks kind of like a mime. Like, he's kind of dressed like...
Yeah, he's
got a dumb little hat.
That's the thing, too, is when he started talking and walking towards her, I thought it was like an act.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be an act. Because this guy, first of all, he didn't look threatening at all.
No.
He looked like a fool. Like,
yes.
He's nobody you would take seriously.
No.
His dialogue was corny as shit.
Yep.
So I figured it was like... something I thought that it was a joke that Maxine was in on, like it was a friend of hers or something.
Genuinely.
And they were just playing.
Either that or she was intentionally luring him down, which
wound up being the case.
Well, but I don't actually know. I don't think so, because like, see, that's the question. Like when she gets to the end of the alley and like it's chained, right? The chain link fence like doesn't open, and she's I can't decide, is she acting and fucking with him? Or is she actually like, fuck? And it isn't until she turns around and he starts shit that she's like, all right, let's do this. I can't tell.
I think this was her plan all along.
You think so?
Yeah, to act scared, lull him into some kind of false sense of...
like he's in charge here.
Right.
Yeah.
Get him close enough that he can't run away.
No, I agree with that part. I just, when did it flip in her mind that this was going to be a thing? Like, did she head down that alley
as soon as she saw him blocking her exit, she knew she was going to do this.
So she didn't go down the alley knowing it was going to be blocked, so she could pretend it was so she could kill him.
Because she didn't even know she was being followed until the gate was locked, and then she turned around to go the other way and saw him standing there.
I guess that's
But as soon as she saw him...
that's it.
blocking her exit.
All right.
She's like, this is how this is going to go now.
This is how the plan forms, because she knows she's got a gun.
Yes. So she acts scared. She acts like she's trying to get out of the gate.
Okay.
While he walks closer and closer and
little like
gives her the corniest fucking dialogue.
Menacing, like
Yeah, yeah.
Guy, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of
You can run and you can hide, but you'll never get away from me.
You're like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Does he even have a name? I don't know.
And then he pulls out a switchblade.
Yeah, and she pulls out a gun.
Yeah.
And tells him to strip.
Tells him to strip.
Ooh.
So he takes his clothes off. Then she tells him to get on his knees, which he does. Then she puts her gun in his face and tells him to suck it.
That's true. And to be fair, he does like go up and down on
immediately.
The gun. He's like, all right.
Immediately, this guy is like out of his league here.
Oh yeah, no, he recognized because there's nothing in her.
Which also makes me believe that maybe this is the first time this guy has tried this.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think he's ever succeeded.
He's a potential copycat because of all the Night Stalker shit.
Right,
so he's like, I'm gonna fuck around, and then he found out. Right, because she did the thing that Mia Goth does, where her face changes and her eyes are dead, and you're like, yeah. So I think he turned into yes, ma'am, complying with what the holy shit, what have I done?
Yeah, so she makes him get on his knees and suck her gun dick.
Yeah,
and then like tells him to get on
the ground,
face
ass
down,
up.
Ass up.
God, and then she says, "Do you know what happened to the last person who tried to kill me? I crushed her fucking head."
And then
she stomps on his nuts,
balls,
man,
exploding them.
Oh, it is. I've never seen that.
Yeah, they got real graphic on that.
Oh God,
that was painful to watch.
That is kind of a hallmark of these movies, though. Like nothing happens, and then it gets way violent, like
out of nowhere,
and then it's fine again.
Yeah, and then we're just back to regular ass Maxxine's life. So yeah, he's clearly in a lot of pain on the ground.
And yeah, that's the end.
And she walks off.
Yeah. Yeah, I made the note gross. Thank you. Thank you, recently passed me, in case that wasn't clear. I thought that was gross. Then we cut to her apartment. Leon's there for now.
Yep, they're on the couch.
Yeah,
they fell asleep watching a movie because the credits on the film are rolling.
Yeah.
And there's a knock on the door.
Yep.
And Maxxine gets up and answers it. She looks down the hall and the elevator's closing, so she didn't see who it was, but there's a package, a little manila envelope on the ground with a VHS tape in it.
And it says for Maxxine. Yeah,
it says for Maxxine on the spine. So she goes inside and she puts it in the VCR, and it's the tape from X. It's her porn tape.
Yeah, it says police evidence at first, and then it cuts to
because this is
her barn scene.
This was the tape they made in X when they were on the farm. And after the police came there, they found the video, and now it is police property.
Right, but it's here somehow. So she, and that really, that is what starts her thinking about all of that shit that happened.
Right, because at this point,
I think she had like smashed it down for the most part up until now.
Yeah, I think she's mostly forgotten about it and moved on with her life.
And here it is shoved
and now here it is again.
Face. Yeah.
And this tape, of course, is the only proof that she was ever there to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, she takes the tape out, and Leon, because Leon kind of wakes up on the couch and he's like, "Hey, what are you watching?" And she's like, "Nothing." And she takes the tape out and runs to her room and slams the door.
And he's like, "All right, well, I'm going to bounce."
He's like, "Are you?" Well, he goes to her door. He like knocks on it. He's like, "Hey, you okay?" And she's like, "Yep, doing great." And he's like, "All right, well, I'm going to fuck off then." And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
That's direct quotes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was period accurate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so he walks out, and then we see this guy in the car, who's a private investigator, talking to someone in the backseat. Like, he's in the driver's seat. He's all in tan.
Yeah.
We've got the tan man and the man in black leather.
So this is where we realized that he has now hired a private detective.
Yes. And I mean, to be fair, we don't actually know that the man in black leather at the peep show is the guy who hired the private investigator at this point.
You assume.
don't actually see it, but yes.
Well, because it shows his hands gripping the back of the seat.
Oh, I guess that's true. He's very grippy.
Yes,
very grippy.
Because they can't show his anger on his face, so they have to show him being angry with his hands.
Silence. Like absolute silence and anger. But yeah, he's so like the private investigator, Kevin Bacon. But was it Kevin Bacon in the first scene? I swear it didn't look. We didn't recognize it was him until
it's him because he's
on.
explaining to him that he's like, "Look, you hired me to follow this lady. I did that. Yeah. Anything beyond that,
whatever sick shit you've got.
Yeah, that's more than we bargained for here. Yeah. So at this point, moving forward, my pay is now increased.
Yeah. Well, no, I just meant like I didn't recognize that was Kevin Bacon at that point. It wasn't until the hotel.
I didn't recognize him either.
And the Bonaventure.
But yes, it's absolutely him.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he's talking to mystery person, which I don't know. The mystery man is so heavy-handed, and then the reveal. Like I don't know about you, but at least I was really, like, oh.
If you think about it, though, like the movies that were coming out in 1985, they were like, you know, psychological dramas were big at this point.
Yeah.
And that was an element of it. It was always some kind of mystery. There was a mystery man, mystery figure or something. They always kept the identity of the killer or whatever hidden until the big reveal at the end. So
I feel like this was done kind of.
It kind of ties in with that. Like
it's so obvious. Like, oh, who is this? I'm like, ugh, jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean it was obvious who it was, because when we figured out who it was, I was like, oh.
This is done in a very psychological thriller movie way.
Yeah.
And it plays on those tropes and it uses them well.
I do like that because like each movie in this trilogy does have its very own distinct personality, flavor, genre. Like for all that, they all do have horror elements. Mm-hmm. They're all very different.
Yeah.
You know, movies. This is more of a psychological mystery thriller type thing.
All three of these movies are filmed in a way that in a style of a different type of genre.
Yeah.
It would be that early 20th century, like just glitz and glamour type Hollywood style, you know.
That's rotten underneath.
Where the movies weren't really all that entertaining or interesting. It was just like put somebody big name with a big name in it.
Well, it was literally like, wow, look at it's a spectacle. Like all the pictures.
There would be musical numbers and then they'd go on a picnic. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't anything really. It was just some way to kill time and watch a celebrity do something.
Sure. But yes, so then we cut to this guy who he has like a camcorder, like an old school camcorder, and he's filming. He's like walking down the hall and it's shaky cam shit. And you can hear two women, because we have the subtitles on, we knew who it was because it said Tabby and Amber screaming and sobbing. You know,
way to ruin it.
No. So, and you kind of see, it's like, you know, when a guy has gone to a big event and then he comes back, he like loosens the tie, takes the jacket off, but like it's still got the white shirt and pants.
Yeah, like that business time is over. Now it's fun time.
Yeah.
So he's getting relaxed. He's getting comfortable.
Yeah, and you can hear them crying. And he opens this closet, and Tabby and Amber are like blindfolded and gagged on their knees
in this
closet.
Yeah.
So things are going to go well for them.
And now they're being dragged out of the closet into another room.
Yes. And yeah, at least I know we see Tabby being dragged out because
she's pleading with him, like, I'll do anything you want. Just let me go.
And
don't do this. Don't kill me. Don't hurt
elevator, and there's other men there.
Yeah.
And the VHS, like the recording kind of cuts in and out, you know, and so she's like screaming and clearly shit's happening, but you don't really
you don't see what's going on. You don't see the aftermath of it until they find the bodies the next day.
Right. So that's the end of that. Then cut to Maxine. She is working with the FX artist for the Puritan 2. She needs to get like a face and body cast because, you know, obviously, like, you know, so they're putting her in plaster. They're
making a prosthetic head.
Right. Yeah. So like
of her character
cast because for movie purposes, right?
Right.
So she's just kind of chatting with the FX artist.
And she's explaining to her, look, you just sit here for 10 minutes until it dries. Yeah. It's fine. So she puts the shit on her.
Yeah.
Leaves the room, and now Maxine's in the chair alone in this room.
And I guarantee you, I almost feel like had she not watched that movie the night before, I don't know that she would have reacted the way she
probably
did. But
not.
Now it's all been brought back up, so she like...
Yeah, and now it's an issue. Now she has anxiety about this.
Yeah.
She's being contained in this shit.
Yep.
It's probably making her feel claustrophobic.
Yeah.
All she's got to do is think, and she's thinking about the situation that she went through on the farm with Pearl.
Like, yeah, from our perspective, you see like two old lady hands, clearly Pearl.
Pearl has now become her boogeyman.
Yeah. Yeah. Like coming, like her hands on her shoulders, like the plaster stuff everywhere.
Yep, she starts rubbing her. She walks up from behind and starts rubbing her chest while she's in this plaster. Mm-hmm. And
it's well done.
Yeah. And she falls over backwards, hits the ground. Yeah, freaking out. She pulls the shit off of her face so she can breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's really the whole scene. It's that first sign of, oh, shit's getting to her again.
Yeah.
All right.
And up until this point, I was like, this movie is not doing a good job of tying Maxine in with any of the other films.
Yeah, but after that, it makes sense as to why it didn't before then, because she has forced that out of her fucking head. She's got goals. I'm not worried about that. I will not address
once
that.
They bring this up, once like you said, once that she sees the tape and now she knows that the past is coming back to bite her in the ass.
Yeah.
Now they're doing a better job tying these movies together. And I'm glad they did that, because for a while this just kind of felt like a different movie altogether, starring Mia Goth.
Yeah.
know?
But once it started coming in, it makes sense as to why it took so long. I like that. But no, I understand what you mean. Yeah. Like on second watch, I think it would be a lot, like, yeah, because I know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that happens. Then we cut to, is it a golf course or just a park?
Where they put the bodies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just a park.
Okay.
The bodies were dumped in the creek outside of a park.
So we've got Amber and Tabby's bodies, and they're all carved up. They've got pentagrams and a lot of other wounds on them.
They're pale. They're clearly dead.
Oh, yeah. Dead. And we meet the two detectives. Don't ask me their names. I didn't write them down. There's a guy detective and a lady detective.
I thought you were writing them down, so I didn't even think about it.
Dude, you have no idea how fucking much writing I do for this shit. Honestly, their names don't matter. There's a guy detective and a girl detective.
Let's call them Mulder and Scully.
No.
I'm calling them Mulder and Scully.
Oh my God. That's a disservice to Mulder and Scully, I feel.
Who cares?
Okay. Well, you're the one that loves the X-Files.
It's fun and they got to have a name. So.
Okay. All right. What the fuck ever. So yeah, you get a short scene. They're dead.
Yep.
And then cut to Maxine getting in the car after, her mold session, whatever, is done. She lights a cigarette. Her hands are a little shaky. She's having flashbacks, right? Of shooting the gun, and Pearl flying out the door, in X, shit like that. It's just little. Yeah,
there's little flashes from X that are coming back to haunt her.
Which is well done.
And then the director's assistant tells her, hey, the director needs you back here later today for a meeting.
He's like, here's your script. Be aware, Elizabeth, who's the director, is kind of known for being a nightmare. So
I've seen her lose her shit more than once, basically.
So be aware. And then also Maxine notices a note on her car, in the windshield wiper. And it says, for a good time, call. And
there's a phone number.
Yeah. And she opens it and it looks like there's we couldn't figure out. We didn't run it back.
It went by so quick. There were pictures. It was a Xeroxed piece of paper that had images on it. And then it was folded up. And for a good time, call this number. Mm-hmm. So she immediately goes to a payphone and calls and says, who the fuck are you?
Yep.
And he's like, well, if you have any sense at all, you'll meet me.
You'll meet me at the 34th floor at the Bonaventure Hotel in an hour.
Yeah. So she does.
Yeah. And that's where we go, oh, it's Kevin Bacon.
It's Kevin Bacon.
And he's the private investigator from earlier, like we talked about in the car. His name is John Labat. Oh, yeah. I was dealing with other shit, so I have a note. Chad, talk about this.
That scene?
Yeah. Because
he's explaining to her that his client has hired him to find her. Basically, that she was not easy to find, but he's the best at what he does. Mm-hmm. And he can find anybody. Doesn't matter where you run. I will find you. Yeah. And I have. He has requested that you come to his party or his house, I guess. I think he says that he's throwing a party, but there isn't a party there really. You find out it's like a cult.
It's a cult.
But he gives her a little envelope.
Cult. It's like the worst cult. But anyways,
Maxine is basically like he brings up the fact that he knows that she was at the farm. He goes and lists off the names of the people from X that died, right, including Pearl and Howard.
Yeah,
and he's like, these names ring a bell to you.
Howard?
Yes.
Well, then shit, we should have known right there it wasn't Howard.
But if Howard was the one that hired him, why wouldn't he include him in the... Yeah. Anyways, so he's asking her if those names ring a bell, and she's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Right.
And I didn't kill anybody. And even if I did, how are you going to prove it?
Yeah, you can't pin it on me.
And he's like, well, that would be the tape. First of all, the VHS tape that proved that she was on the farm, because they were recording her on the farm.
Yeah.
And then in the envelope, it's the like newspaper clippings of the incidents.
It said like
with the address
Texas
written on the envelope.
Porn Star Massacre or something like that.
Texas
like,
Porn Star Massacre.
See, because it's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
that would be the joke. But yeah, that's the end of that. He walks away telling her like, look, I really don't give a fuck if you show up or not. My check's going to clear either way, but I would suggest that you do because you don't want to piss this guy off.
Right. Okay. So then she goes home, and she's outside, like about to open her door, or in like the door to go up off of the street, and the two detectives are there. And they basically are like, hey, do you know these women? And they show them pictures, like headshots or whatever of, Tabby and Amber. Yep. Like from what we understand, you were the last person to see them, alive. See them. Well, they don't say that. They just say the last people to see them because I was waiting for the alive.
The last people. last one to talk to them.
How do they know that? How do they know?
No
that
idea.
just occurred to me now.
Yeah, that does not make sense.
How?
And I thought that too when they said that because I was like, wait a minute.
And also, Amber saw and spoke to nobody else from like afternoon to party. Yeah. And what about at the party?
How would they even know who Maxine is?
Yeah.
At all.
And how she knows both of the girls. Okay, whatever.
I mean, she worked with Amber.
She worked with Amber.
She worked with Amber.
Because they're both porn stars.
Right.
And they both... like Amber finished a scene
The porn stars who work at the strip club. I don't know how...
I don't think they actually work. I think that's just like their base of operations. That's where they film. In the back.
Right.
Because she walks through the strip club and out and around to this like other area in the back.
To a room that looks like a locker room.
Yeah. Super cool. It's not like
I don't understand. They never explained it either.
How do they know how she knows Tabby? It's not like there were security cameras.
Even if they knew,
days, like with her waiting outside the peep show.
Even if they knew that she knew Amber, they wouldn't know that she knew Tabby, and they wouldn't know that those two were connected at all.
Or that,
other than they were both murdered,
right?
And dropped off in the
they don't
same
even know how or where. They don't. Yeah, they literally just.
Plus, it's Hollywood. These could have been random women that showed up at a party, didn't know each other, got high on drugs, and then shit got out of control. Anything
happened.
I have no idea how the detectives...
I don't know, but that bothers me now. I didn't really...
figure out that Maxine is connected to these two.
I was like frantically writing, so I didn't really
No, you're not alone there. This definitely came up in my head too.
Well, at any rate, Maxine is just like, I don't talk to police, you can fuck off.
Yep.
Basically.
Which is a good policy.
Yeah. Don't get a lawyer, man. Even if you literally did nothing. I think we talked about this on our YouTube episode.
A lawyer.
Don't talk to the police.
Get a lawyer. Let them do the talking.
No matter what, that is their job, okay? Don't talk to the police. Guilty or innocent. Don't care. Shush. Lawyer. Anyways. And, so Maxine takes the tape to Leon and is like, can we figure out who made this? Is there a way to find out who made this?
Right, he's trying to figure out, like...
where this came from.
Yeah, she's thinking, can you figure out who copied and transferred this tape from another tape? And he's like, well, no, I can't do that, but I could tell you it's this. Yeah,
it's like Quantigy is the tape brand. And he was like, usually it's like JVC or something, or Sony, which I was like,
yeah. This is kind of a cheap, like.
This is like a weird, he said it's like mainly Japanese from what I remember him saying. He was like, this isn't
Sony
normal. Well, I know.
Fuji.
But that's what he said. But yeah, he was like, this isn't like your normal brand. So maybe I can look up order forms if people ordered blank tapes from here.
These should not have been ordered by very many people.
Right.
Maybe I can narrow it down.
Most people would not be doing that. So she goes back to the movie lot, Maxine does, to meet with Elizabeth Bender, who's the director of Puritan 2. Earlier the guy had said, hey, she wants to see you later.
Right.
It is now later. And Elizabeth pulls up in this golf cart and she's like, hey, get in. And we see protesters there about the movie and all of that. And they start driving through the back lot. This is where Elizabeth is like, isn't this incredible? It looks so real, but it's all a facade. But she tells Maxine, she was like, the producers didn't want you. They think it's too
she's like, I had to stick my
controversial.
neck out for you to get you in this role because I see something in you that no one else had. You have a quality about you that I need for this picture.
And she asks Maxine if she's ruthless. And Maxine is like,
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And Elizabeth says that makes two of us.
She's like, good. I need you to act your ass off in this role as if your life depended on it. And she's like, it does.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Elizabeth calls it a B movie with A ideas because she really is talking about, she's like, it's again with the theming, everything looking one way, but really underneath it's this whole other thing going on.
And basically the Puritans in the world don't like art.
Right.
She's creating art here.
Right.
Which also kind of ties back in with X with RJ.
Oh, yeah.
When him trying to turn porn into art. So
he's insisting, no, I'm making a film.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Poor RJ. I'm still mad at that stupid bitch. I forgot about that. And now I'm mad again. She deserved what she got. So, and I didn't give a shit about him before. Anyways, so yeah, they pull up to like this set, and Maxine sees Pearl in the window.
Yeah, they pull up to the Bates Motel set, and they're looking up at the Bates home. You know, that iconic shot from Psycho,
right? Yes,
with the hotel and then the home up on the hill behind it.
Yes,
and as they're looking at it, Elizabeth is explaining to her like how iconic this thing is and all this, and then Maxine sees Pearl in the window.
I bet you if we went and watched Psycho, it would be the same window that his mother with quotation marks.
Yep. But it also ties back to X because, or no, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was X.
X when they first show up and Pearl is up in the window of the house.
Was in the window.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah.
And it also ties in with Pearl when Pearl is dragging her father in the wheelchair down to feed him to Theta.
And she sees her mother.
And her mother is up in the window looking down on her.
So there's a lot in windows going on.
Ominous
here.
Window watching.
Ominous window woman. Ominous window women. So that happened. And then she's driving home after that meeting, we presume. And she looks in a rear view and Kevin Bacon's behind her. I know he's a private investigator. I'm just going to be calling him Kevin Bacon because it's Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
So
what is his name? Like Jean Lamont?
Jean Labot.
Jean Labot.
Yeah, it wasn't until later that we find out he's apparently supposed to be from New Orleans.
He's supposed to be Cajun?
Yeah, I said he sounded like Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, that is not a Cajun accent.
That is not Cajun. I've been to New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I fucking love that
It's place. Great, but
that is not...
It is. It's badly done. This is just like plantation guy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Like you said, it's like a Foghorn Leghorn type character. It's just ridiculous to hear in real life.
Yeah, that is not Cajun. That's not Creole. That's not New
This is like Kentucky.
Yes. Yeah, Kentucky, Tennessee style. Yes. Yeah, that ain't it. But, I will say he does seem to be having a lot of fun in this movie.
Yeah.
With the character.
He honestly seems to be the only character in this movie having any fun.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Until he isn't. And we'll go into that.
Very well, he's about to not. Because she sees him following her and she stops.
This is what he says here it kind of solidified his fate because he's just like, as she stopped and she gets out of the car to come confront him. And as
he's filming her.
Right. He's filming her. And as she's walking towards him, he's like, that's right, sweetie. I got the camera and anywhere you go, think of me like the paparazzi. Anywhere you are, that's where I am. And then she's got her keys in her hand that she kind of...
she does what every woman I know is taught this.
Yeah.
The way to hold your keys where they're sticking out.
It looks like Wolverine claws.
Well,
yeah. And then she just comes up, throws the camera out of his hand and just beats the shit out of him.
Yeah. They're playing like in the face.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. It's effective. I thought she was going to kill him. I didn't.
I didn't think she was going to kill him. But yeah, good on her, man.
Yeah, no, he's like, you just made a big fucking mistake. And she's like, So, yeah, she beats the shit out of him with her key hand. And then she goes to her agent's office. He's also her entertainment lawyer, right?
Right.
And I love Teddy Knight Esquire. His hair is insane. It's like
this is 1985.
It's clearly a toupee, right?
This guy is still trapped in like 1976.
Oh my god, he's got his like velour suits.
Yeah,
you know, because when he goes, he's like on an exercise bike when she comes in now. But yeah, he's got this like almost like game show host coif like thing going on. I swear his hair is the same color as his skin. Like it is all like one color.
Yes. And he's on his exercise bike even though he's in this suit, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and he's like
why
on
would
the
you
phone.
work out with this thing?
You know, he's doing that whole thing. But she like walks in. Of course, the secretary's like, "You don't have an appointment. You can't go in there." And it's just like Lysoling to hell and back. She's like,
yeah, and again, Maxine is bossing her way through this movie, so she just goes in the room anyway.
Yeah, she doesn't care. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "Yeah." So she tells him about. I mean, it cuts. We don't see her do it, but she's like, "I've got to talk to you." Or well, she's like, "You're a lawyer, right?" And he's like, "You're my lawyer." And he's like, "Well, entertainment lawyer, yeah." And she's like, "Well, do I have, confidentiality? Like, is that in effect here?" And he's like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, right. Should I be hearing this?
Yeah, well, it's just like, what kind of shit am I going to have to deal with? Because, he's like, no one is more invested in your career than me.
Right.
Like, and
let's be transparent here too. Like back in these days, your entertainment lawyer was kind of also your fixer.
Oh yeah, no, and he definitely
bodyguard,
plays that role here.
Your cleaner of messes.
Well, he even said, like, even if it's illegal, even if it gets me killed, like, it doesn't fucking matter. Your career is the most important thing to me.
Right.
And is he motivated by money? Obviously, yes.
Of course.
But at the same time, you know what? Does that even matter though? Because he really is invested in her and whatever the fuck she needs, he's there.
She makes money, he makes money. That's how this goes.
So she tells him about the attack, about like the fucking private investigator. I don't know if she tells him about Texas or not. That's not really clear.
I don't think he's aware of the farmhouse situation.
But he now knows that she's got a fucking problem with this guy. And he's like, all right.
So their plan here is to lure him, the detective, Jean Labat.
Yeah.
They are going to lure him into following her because he always is.
Yeah. We don't actually go over that until later on. But yeah, no, this is where we find out. Like, now and again, I talked about it a little bit earlier. I love this for her because she's actually reaching out for help. Like, that doesn't make her less independent, less strong, less whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what
like,
makes sense.
Earlier when I mentioned that, like, she always has a plan here. Like, you never feel like she's in any kind of danger.
No, and she will utilize
everyone around her,
any
much
opportunity and any resource to get what she needs.
Much like the character, her character in X, and then the character of Pearl. It's everyone surrounding these characters that die.
Yeah, yeah, she's fine.
It's never them.
Yeah, well, until it is Pearl. But by that point, Maxine's the focus, so goodbye.
But we kind of always knew one or the other was going to kill the other one,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The parallels between the characters are too great for
and yet not explained.
Either one of them to die.
God damn it.
By anybody but the hands of the other.
Right. So, but yeah, she basically, at this point, she just tells him about the attack, and he's like, all right, then. So then it cuts to kind of like a back and forth scene, which happens in these movies. Sometimes it happened in X. There's like a porn scene going on and then Pearl putting on makeup, like that type of thing. This happens here, but in this case, it's Maxine like going over the script and highlighting her parts. And then we've got Leon in the video store. Someone comes in and he basically says, I ain't in that business no more. Like, this is just a video store and we're closing soon. You need to go.
So you assume he came in there wanting sex.
Probably, or something.
He told him to get the hell out. And he's escorting him out of the shop.
Goes to close the store for the night.
So he's looking out of the door and the gloved man...
Damn you, gloved man.
Is walking up behind him with a knife.
Yeah, a fucking like survival knife. It's like serrated
it's the knife that Leon had it behind the counter.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't see that.
Yeah, they keep showing static shots of like Leon just sitting behind the counter watching TV, and he's playing with this fucking Bowie knife. Oh, okay. Is what it is.
Okay. I was probably writing, so I didn't see it.
Yeah, so I'm glad you did. Clearly somebody hid in the store, probably in the bathroom or something, waited for him to close up, grabbed the knife, and now he's walking towards him.
Yeah, and he's brutally fucking attacked. Like, because he gets stabbed and then he turns around and then it's like slice And there goes an eye.
Well, he cuts him in the back of the neck.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
Across the back of the neck first. And when he turns around to see what's going on, that's when he cuts him across the face.
I know he ends up falling. He gets stabbed in the back a lot.
Yeah, he stabs him in his cast because he's got a cast on his hand. So he stabs him through the cast in the arm. And as he's crawling away, he keeps stabbing him in the back.
Yeah. And once he there's like blood spraying on the videotapes, and like whoosh, and all of that shit. And when he's finally, I don't know if he's actually dead or just laying there dying, they rip his earring out because it's like a little dangle.
It's a cross.
It's a cross. It's a black cross. And they rip it out of his ear, which is always rude when they do that.
Which you're thinking to yourself as an audience member, it's Richard Ramirez taking a souvenir.
See,
like serial killers do.
I figured what they were going to do with that was to send it to Maxine, who would probably recognize that earring for what it was. That isn't at all what happened. But in that moment, I was like, aha, like they're going to be like.
But it does make sense as to why he removes it.
Yes. Later on, once you know about the killer and everything, it does make sense why. Like that is
because
if you're gonna, how dare you?
Because if you're going to carve satanic imagery on somebody, they probably wouldn't wear a cross earring.
Who the fuck are you to be wearing that symbol?
Yeah.
Like.
Well, and another touch here too. It was in his right ear.
Yeah.
Which, at the time, Leon is a gay character.
Yes, he is. It's not
back then. It wasn't. You didn't just go around telling people you were gay.
People our age know that means that you're gay.
Right. You could get in a lot of serious trouble if anybody thought you were gay. You might get your ass kicked. You might be killed. Whatever.
Died.
So they would have to do things to signal to other people that you're gay.
Yeah.
One of those things was one earring in your right ear.
Yeah.
If it was in your left ear, you were straight.
Yeah.
If it was in your right ear, you were gay.
That's true. It's weird to me that there's people that don't know that because like I grew up. Know it,
Well, I have both of my ears pierced, and I'm not bi.
Well, yeah.
So I don't.
Well, but at that time, like that was more of like a Gen X.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yes.
That
absolutely.
wasn't a millennial thing.
Absolutely.
Boy, millennials just had their ears pierced regardless. Like that sexuality.
Yeah. By the time our generation was in like middle school, we knew who was gay and who wasn't.
Yeah, sure. And it didn't matter.
No.
And jewelry did not play a part.
No, but I did want to mention that because it was a nice touch, and some of our audience members may not be old enough to know that was like a signifier.
That is a gay coding.
Yes.
Yes. So yes, R.I.P. Leon.
Yeah.
I enjoyed you.
You will be missed.
I would have been his friend. I would have been friends with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. It says Kevin Bacon, a mystery man. Let's see. Did something happen after that? It just says Kevin Bacon, a mystery man. Whatever.
Well, I think isn't this where they cut to the next morning?
Yeah, well, that's
Maxine
the next thing.
Maxine's waking up.
Yeah, and the next morning,
the police are outside because she gets a call from Teddy, and he's explaining to her like the plan for that evening. Yeah. Right. And she's like, look, I need to call you back. She looks outside and there's police cars. Cop cars. There's an ambulance there. Paramedics are taking a stretcher into the video store.
Okay. I have an issue. I had an issue when we watched the movie and we're going to talk about it now.
Yes. Yeah. What they do here is fucked up and it's not anything they would do.
It would not fucking happen. Okay. So there's a crowd of people. There's a lot of people outside the video store.
Maxine runs out. Her apartment is above the video store.
Yes.
She runs downstairs.
I assume that's probably how they became friends. And
sure.
Stuff like
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Makes sense. Good organic storytelling there.
Right. And that would explain why he's watching movies at her place and shit because he got off work. Yeah.
Sure. So, and they wheel the gurney out and is that a gurney?
No, it's a stretcher. Yeah.
What's the difference?
A gurney is like, I don't know.
That's used in the morgue. And it's still got wheels and it's a table. I leave that in. Guys, like genuinely.
Yeah, what's the difference between a stretcher and a gurney?
That's what I'm saying.
Thing? They might be the same thing.
I think they're the same thing, except the stretcher is meant for living people. Anyways, a table on wheels is rolled out.
I think, no, because they would both go in the back of a ambulance.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe one's designed to go in an ambulance and one's for a hearse, but I don't know.
Like genuinely, I sound stupid right now, but what's the difference?
They're probably the same thing.
Whatever. And the sheet is crazy bloody. Far too much blood for it to just be a.
Well, first they walk out with the baggie with the knife in it.
Yeah.
And Maxine sees that and she's freaking out.
Yeah, but there's other people in front of her. Like she's like kind of towards the back of the crowd because she just got there. And then they wheel the thing out.
They wheel the body.
Gurney stretcher. Yeah, and there's so much blood on the sheet. But anyways, the two detectives are there. And
what they do here is wild.
This would never fucking happen.
No,
there's
ever.
a crowd of goddamn onlookers.
Yep.
Okay, but the lady detective like makes eye contact with
Dana
Maxine.
Scully.
No, the lady detective.
Dana Scully.
It's not. Gillian Anderson would never do this. Fucking Scully knows better. Are you kidding? Of all of them, she's the doctor. She's the medical doctor. She would never fucking do that. How dare? Oh, it's slander on her name. Anyways, the lady detective, the not Scully, I'll call her not Scully. The not Scully looks and makes eye contact with Maxine and like lifts the sheet back to reveal Leon's brutalized dead face looking at Maxine.
It's staring right at Maxine.
And everybody around her freaks out because of course they fucking do.
They start freaking out. They start trying to hold in their vomit.
Yeah, and she like pushes through and gets under the tape.
Yeah, she's trying to run up and like, I guess, hug him or...
What? Well, it's like, my friend is dead. Oh my God. You know, like genuinely.
I don't know what her plan was there.
Well, that like, she's running off of pure emotion, which is the reaction the detective wanted. She wouldn't... They would never fucking do that, especially around a group of onlookers.
Yeah.
You don't know who these people are.
There could have been about the lawsuits.
There could have been, oh my God.
Yeah. If your child saw that and suffered some kind of psychological...
Even not. You don't know what kind of mental issues the onlookers have. And not only that, it's disrespectful to Leon.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
But they did it because they're like, look, Maxine... Here's another one.
Well, she did.
You know this guy too.
But they don't know that she does. Like, this is so irritating to me in this movie. Why do they think that? How do they know that she knows that?
I have no idea.
It makes sense how they would know she knows Leon. That one makes sense to me. Maybe even Amber. Still don't know how they know she knew Tabby. Whatever. And why she is the only person they seem to be looking at as the connection between all these people. You're telling me Amber and Tabby, two girls in like the adult, relevant industry, and even Leon, you know, because he's got kind of a porny type store too.
Yeah.
You're telling me that Maxine is the only person in fucking Hollywood that knows all these people?
Yeah.
What? And why?
Well, and you got to think too, like the type of establishment that Leon was running. I mean, anybody in this city could be friends of his, ties with him.
Sure.
Why Maxine? I don't understand.
It's not explained well. I fucking hate that she did that. But yeah. So, anyways, I mean, all they could have said, because more than once in this movie, like the guy detective, the Not Mulder, is like. He's trying to do the kind of machismo, like forceful, hey, little girl, tell us what we need to know type thing. And then... Yeah,
because he doesn't understand. Like, Maxine is a hardened
she is not going to put up with that shit. There is no... I understand. I relate to Maxine in this way. You can get me to do things in certain ways, but there is no quicker way to get me to shut down and go, fuck you. Than approaching me like that.
Right.
You don't do that.
But his approach to this is like, listen here, sweetheart. Yeah, this is how it's going to go.
Nope, not happening.
And I'm going to need you to calm down.
Yeah. So.
Because if there's one thing women love being told, it's to calm down.
All right. And, you know, the not Scully is like, dude, you've got to fucking stop that. You've got to. But then it's the not Scully that does this fucking move. So they're fucking.
Yeah. They're both terrible.
Jesus.
And I don't know where they get their intel from.
Like, I don't know, especially because they do end up following her at the end, but like she never actually tells them anything. So anyway, they take her to the police station, and they take her to the morgue, right? Or the area in the back, whatever.
Yeah.
To look at the bodies. Mm-hmm. You know, they basically are like, this is what happened to Amber and Tabby, and now there's Leon.
Yep. We need any information that you have that can help us with this case so that we can prevent the next girl from becoming a victim.
Right. They were like, we know
great.
It's the night. They talk about the Night Stalker again and how, you know, clearly it's him. It's not. And clearly she knows. She doesn't. Mm-hmm. You know, and she's like, you know.
Well, and that's kind of what I was saying too, is like, Maxine doesn't have any information that's going to lead to the capture of this serial killer.
I mean, to be fair, they don't know that. But again,
just because she does know that they went to a party.
Yes.
In the hills.
Which I don't know why she doesn't tell them that.
Which means that she would know the house. I mean, it's the house directly under the Hollywood sign. It wouldn't be that hard to figure out.
Which is not how it is.
No.
You know, that shit. Like later on when they like go in the backyard and end up at the Hollywood sign, I had to have you explain it to me because I was writing and I was like, that's not how reality is.
You want to know how expensive the house under the Hollywood sign would be? Like even for the person it turns out to be, they would not have this money.
It's a place you can go. It's not someone's backyard. Even in 1985, there's no fucking way. Whatever. We're getting way ahead. So they basically are like, we need help, to save the next girl. And she says, well, maybe she should save herself. I did.
Yeah.
And she like walks away.
Yeah, and that's one of my problems with the character of Maxxine is like her lack of empathy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I know that she's going through her own shit and she has her own PTSD and maybe she feels like, well, this is survival of the fittest, right? Like, why the hell should I care? Even if they were my friends, I mean, they were still competitors as far as me moving up in Hollywood, The next girl really should take care of herself because that's what I had to do. Yeah.
And I mean, I understand to a point, I did it, so why can't they? I get that. But even still, all you have to do is say they went to this party at this house. That's all I know.
That's it.
What?
And at this point, haven't they already told her, look, we don't care what you're into. Yes. We don't care if you're doing anything illegal.
We're not vice. It doesn't matter.
We're not interested in any of that. We're just interested in getting this sick motherfucker put behind bars. That is our only goal here.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, she's like, she should save herself. I did. And then, that's the end of that. So then we cut to the Puritan 2 filming. Cause she's like, I've got to fucking go. I'm going to be late for work. Fuck you guys. And so it's this scene, with this actress who is Molly, we meet in a minute. She's like, she's
eating an apple
outfit and an apple. That's
and as she bites into it, it's supposed to bleed everywhere.
Yeah,
and then,
it's just like the filming.
Elizabeth, the director, she's not happy with the take because it's not bloody enough.
Yeah. And so it's like cut and, they're talking about
That's when Maxine walks in. And this is where we get an idea of the type of person that Elizabeth is.
Which is understandable.
Yeah. I mean, when you're a director, time is money.
Yeah.
That's where that term comes from.
She's like, sorry, I'm late. And she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't even tell me.
Anything you could blame this on is just going to piss me off more.
Exactly.
If it happens again, you're off the movie.
Yep.
That's all we're going to talk about here.
I need you to be as dedicated as I am.
Let's move on.
Yep, exactly. And she takes her over to meet Molly, who I believe was the star of the first Puritan movie.
She's on the box art.
She is on the box
VHS,
art.
So.
Yeah, and they meet, and they talk about there's a lot of extra blood and whatnot.
Do they ever explain what role Maxine has in the movie?
Well, Maxine is the new
Puritan.
Yeah.
Okay.
From what I understand, she's the star of the movie.
Why is the old one in the new one?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they had to redo the movie after Molly's killed. There's no way she was done filming her scenes, so either they had to rewrite it or cast someone else, or I don't know.
This whole thing is awkward and weird.
I don't know, but
because they don't explain anything about the Puritan, right?
No, and I don't think it really
the Puritan
matters.
2.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Other than it's a horror movie. Yeah. That's all you know about it.
With ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, there's a lot of fake blood around. There's a bucket that says skin blood on it, that's made to smear on the skin and stuff like that. But, then it cuts to a little later on and Molly's back at her trailer and she's talking to Maxine and it's like Mitzi and Pearl's. She's a genuinely nice person who is like, girl, I get where you are. Because obviously she thinks that she's nervous because this is a big break for her and, all of that. And she's like, you're going to do amazing. You're pretty. You've got a great body. Yep. You're very talented.
You're going to go far in horror.
Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah. And you'll get used to it. No biggie. But I'm always here if you want to talk.
I think this, too, is a little bit of I think there's a little bit of resentment and jealousy in her. In Molly?
I don't think so.
Well, because, look, she explains that she came to Hollywood with the same aspirations that Maxine had.
Yeah.
She got into horror, and she hasn't been able to break out of it.
Well, I think she likes where she's at, though. Because she's like, and look at me now. I'm a working actor.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, she seems not condescending because that's too harsh, but it is very big sister, little sister, how she feels towards Maxine.
Yeah, it does.
You know, she's like, don't worry, like, you're going to do great. Like, I was where you were.
But she doesn't
once.
understand that, like, that's kind of talking down to Maxine from her perspective.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Because she's like, what do you mean I'm going to go far in horror?
That.
This is my start.
Yeah.
I came from porn to this, and I'm going to move
Maxine's
forward.
Maxine's really just thinking about, like, the private investigator and all the dead bodies, and Leon died. You know, so
she's got a lot on her plate.
This is not a concern.
Maxine has 3 different plots going on in her life right now.
Well, and when it comes time to act, she shuts everything else down and is good to go. So out of everything, she's the most devoted to the acting by far, but it's the least of her worries.
She's very good at handling the work-life balance.
Yeah. Sure. Well, she's good at when the cameras are on, when the microphone goes live, boom, here we go. Yeah. No matter what, nothing else exists outside of, I am going to perform now. So, but yeah, no, Molly's good. And she's like, oh, hey, I was invited to this party in the Hollywood Hills.
And then we're like,
today.
oh, there you go.
Do you want to go? And I was like, well, there goes Molly.
But at the same time, like, Maxine at this point, she could have been like, don't go to that party.
Well, that just goes into her kind of cold-hearted nature. Yeah. Very ruthless.
Hey, I mean, Elizabeth, if you go to this party and you get out alive, good for you. That means you earned it.
You earned it. Yeah. Because I don't think she wishes Molly any ill will.
No, but I don't know. It just seems like she could have been like, hey, look.
Or at least let her know, hey, by the way, these 2 girls I know went to a party in the Hollywood Hills.
But if she tells her that, and then the agents start asking questions around the set, then Molly might give away that
I don't think
Maxine knows something about this.
I just think she does, you know.
But even if Maxine knew something about it, she has nothing to do with it.
No.
At all. There's no reason for her to, so I don't know why she didn't tell Molly not to go to the party.
I don't know.
There's no reason not to.
That's the aspect of Maxine I don't understand. I can't relate to.
Yeah.
At all. But anyway, so Molly's like, all right, smell you later. And you know, so she's walking around the back lot and Kevin Bacon shows up.
This almost turns into like one of those Western, like, you know what I mean?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's very like showdown at the
because he's even got his gun at his hip and he's got his coattails pushed back.
He needs the tumbleweed like going across.
But yes, they are standing across from each other about 100 feet away, as if they're about to have a shootout in the Old West.
And he says, it's time to pay for your sins.
And then she runs.
Yeah, and then it's this chase through like the different backlots and stuff like that. And that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, she goes into like a fake store at one point and is trying to open the door and she can't. So he tackles her. But she gets away. And that's when she runs out the courthouse that I swear is the thing from Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes to the Bates Motel. Or like the house.
Yeah,
right?
she runs up the hill to the house and gets inside.
Well, yeah, and he pulls a gun. And so she's like looking through like the frosted glass on the door and you can see his stupid little hat outline and stuff like that. And I mean, obviously, you know something's going to interrupt them. Like, I know movies.
Yeah.
And security guard shows up and he's like, hey.
You can't be here.
Yeah, you can't be here. I don't remember what Kevin
I will
Bacon
say
says.
Kevin Bacon is very good in this role.
Yeah.
Even though his accent's kind of dog shit, but like the way that he handles this, I think was pretty well done.
Although, like you're looking at him up on the stairs, he's got his arm very
he's got his gun behind his back or anything, but it's his flimflammery and his bullshittery and like he's very good at like, oh, look, man, my morbid curiosity's got the best of me. I apologize. Maybe you can help me find my way back home.
I'm just a space chicken from a backward you know, like.
I'm just a simple man trying to have a slice of fun pie. But so he has a security guard.
Kudos to you if you get that last reference. You should go listen to that episode. I'm not telling you which one. Go listen to all of them and see if you can figure it out. It's a slice of fun pie.
But I thought this scene was well done on Kevin Bacon's behalf.
He's like putting the gun in his thing. What does he say? I can't. My ball and my. He says something here that's a weird fucking line. Huh? Something about my ball keeps getting lost in the tall grass, or so. He says something.
He's always
weird.
He's always like.
I don't remember exactly what.
Talking in innuendo and shit.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Because the guy's like, well, where's your pass? And he's like, oh, well, shucks and golly gee, I must have misplaced it.
I must have plumb misplaced it somewhere.
So the security guard is just like, all right, well, let's go. And so they just walk away, and she like opens the door and peeks out. Why again? Unless because
look, he has a gun.
I know that.
If she had opened the door and been like, told the security guard he's trying to kill me, he probably would have shot the.
That was my initial thought. But I don't know that she would give a shit, though.
He would have shot the security guard. But then he was taking her away, or him away.
Yeah.
He's distracted now. That's all she gives a shit about.
I guess that's true.
Now she can get away.
I guess that's true. So then she goes back to the set, and she walks by, and Elizabeth's like, oh, hey, Maxine. And she basically is like, look, this movie is everything to me. I need to make sure you are just as dedicated as I am. Basically take the weekend off, and whatever's going on in your life that is dividing your attention from this, squash it. And I like that because oh man, does she squashes it. So yeah, she's like, go do whatever, whether it's party, deal with your shit.
Maxine even says, I intend to.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever it is, deal with your shit, return on Monday, fully devoted.
Yep.
So, and then it's a split screen, that makes sense a little later on, because when I wrote the notes, it's a split screen of makeup, people, drugs, and dogs. And I was like, okay, sure. Because I was like, before it was like a split screen of nightlife. Is this a split screen of day life? But no, it's really just a montage of people getting ready for what's about to happen.
Right.
You see like the guy who we see the Dobermans, we see Teddy Knight, we see her putting on her like war paint shit that makes me think of Daryl Hannah in Blade Runner style, like that.
Yeah, it very much is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Jim and the holograms.
Yeah. Well, as far as like her various looks, this is my favorite one in the movie. Like, I feel like she's the most beautiful in this.
This get up that she's in is what I see on like social media accounts and stuff. Because, the podcast has followers on Instagram and shit. Right. So like the people that follow us, that we follow, cosplay as this version of Maxine.
Oh, really?
Yes, this is this is a big thing right now.
It's easily the most beautiful and would be iconic. It stands out. It's simple, but like really effective. So she goes to a club, and Kevin Bacon's there watching her.
She knew he was going to follow her.
Oh, of course.
Because he always is.
He told her he would. Yep. So, she like...
As soon as she walks in, it shows her whispering to the bartender. Mm-hmm. Or the doorman or somebody. I assumed it was a bartender. Big burly dude.
Yeah. The guy with the Dobermans.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're now there to carry out this plan to kill...
To deal with this problem.
Jean Labat. All
right. So, she sees him and he sees her, and, she goes into the bathroom.
Yep.
And he... follows. He has this whole... It's the only club I've ever seen where there's nobody in the bathroom.
Right.
Excuse
No one's in there pissing. No one's doing drugs.
Although that could be because of the state of that bathroom.
It was bad.
Oh my God. Every toilet was like clogged and just like...
When I saw this, I was thinking about, American Psycho?
I do.
Anytime they go in the bathroom and it's just like a fucking New York sidewalk in there.
Yeah. Oh God. It is. I mean, and I get that it's a club and everything, but I've been in many club bathrooms in my day. What?
Yeah.
It was nasty.
Yeah, it was a little weird that there was nobody in this bathroom.
That is bullshit. Especially the women's bathroom.
Right.
There is constantly someone in there touching up their makeup.
Chicks with an X.
Yeah, I know. It made me think of the chick patties, the Morningstar Farm sandwich. I was like, oh, I forgot about those. I like those. That's where my head was. I was like, oh, yeah. And he's like doing this whole speech about, you can't run and blah, blah, blah. Well, he's kicking open stalls and revealing.
Yeah,
obviously
he assumes she's in one of the stalls.
Which is dumb on him. Has he never seen a movie? Of course she's in none of these stalls. Like, they're never in the stalls, right?
Yeah. They do everything except for him looking under and not seeing any feet because she's up on the toilet, cowering.
Yeah, so he kicks him open, gets to the last one, and there's this like open window on the side. Clearly she has slipped out. And he's like, oh, fuck. So he runs outside and around the back to the club where that window would be. Mm-hmm. And this is a good scene. I like this scene because Mr. Teddy Knight Esquire is in his car and he boom, turns on.
It's got the
brights.
headlights.
Yeah, and she's standing in front of the car.
And then then
like the bodyguard guy who works for Teddy, I assume. They know each other. I don't know. He's got the Dobermans and everything.
He walks up and
but she stands there and she's got her agent man behind her, and there's another guy sneaking up behind Kevin Bacon that he doesn't know, and she goes, "It's time to pay for your sins."
Mm-hmm.
Good move.
Yep.
And then he gets knocked in the back of the head with a bat by the big guy,
which could have killed him.
It could have.
That was a pretty
they
big
wouldn't
hit.
have cared either. I mean,
and then he fell off that platform.
Yeah, he did.
That was like,
it was like a loading dock.
Yeah, it was like a 6-foot platform that he fell off of face first.
Boop. So yeah, he gets knocked out. When he comes to, he's like handcuffed to the car.
Yep.
Like on the inside, his car, I assume. And he starts off all bravado.
Well, yeah, it's the detective's car that he is handcuffed into because they're going to clean up the mess, right? They just crush the car into a cube and get rid of it.
She's squashing it like Elizabeth told her to do.
While he's in it.
Yeah. It's like a car press thing. I like it.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where it's like slowly coming down.
Like, what?
So he's having a conversation with her the whole time that
it did bother me though that she didn't ask, because he was like, "I'll give you anything. I can be bought."
Yeah, right.
Why the fuck? And I'm not saying let him live. Obviously, you're gonna kill him.
Right.
But why not use that to be like, okay, tell me who your client is. The man who hired you to find me.
Yeah, but they can't do that because they don't want the audience to know.
That's bad writing, though.
It's bad.
That would not make sense. Even if she didn't think of it, you're telling me Teddy, who will go to this length to protect his client, doesn't think about, hey, who hired you? Who sent you?
I mean, maybe she doesn't even care.
I still feel like Teddy would, though, and he's
because the second part of this thing was going to the house. She was like, "I'm going to go find out who it is, regardless if you tell me."
Teddy doesn't know about that either. She didn't tell him. Like he's not a part of that.
No, but I assume she ran down the list of like, "This is my plan here. I need you to help me get rid of Jean Lamont, and then I'm going to go to this house and take care of this other."
I still feel like he would be like, "Hey, who fucking sent you after my client?"
I mean, I would.
Yeah,
but.
And then, because he's scared.
At the end of the day, she was immediately leaving. She was immediately leaving that scene to go to the house.
But she still didn't know what she was walking into.
No, she didn't.
And Teddy, whatever. I have issues with that. That's shitty writing, in my opinion. Sorry. But anyways, he gets squished, and that's good. And I was kind of afraid it was going to be another like with the nuts earlier, like the fucking testicles.
Oh, you thought it was going to be like
because.
Graphic.
Yeah. But he just kind of sinks down. You don't see him.
You see the blood pouring out of the door.
Yeah, which I was like, that's a lot of blood.
When it was too
it's too thin.
Yeah, it was too thin.
Yeah. And then the dog's going like that.
That could have been done better. And then when the dogs go and lick it up, there's like chunks and pieces of him. Like,
I don't know. Or was that just like bits of concrete? I can't tell. Was it fleshy?
Yeah, it was fleshy.
Okay.
So I don't understand. It didn't cut him up. It just squeezed him.
He squeezed. I don't know. Whatever.
So yeah, he gets compacted in his car.
Oh, but she wasn't planning on going to the party. I can tell you why. Because the scene after that is her back at home. Or wherever it is. There's a TV and they're talking about the Night Stalker because of course they are. Like constantly
through this movie.
The Night Stalker.
Every scene change, it seems there's another television report about the Night Stalker.
Yeah, but he basically is like, everyone is praying that someone will help stop this man, like from killing women. And this, I think, because she kind of looks at the TV, and I think, I can't say she had a Grinch moment because, he completely transformed and his heart grew 3 sizes that day. Her heart grew like half a size.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I actually do have information. No, she is in her room because she looks at the envelope that says 166 Starlight Drive on it, which is the address to the house. So she he's like, please, someone. And then she like has flashes of her dead friends and shit like that and looks over and she's like, you know what? I'm going to go handle this shit. Mm-hmm. So she didn't plan on that when she was squishing the guy.
All right.
So they should have fucking asked who was behind this. Whatever. And also, so she's heading out to this party in the hills, or like the house in the hills at least, and the detectives follow. So were they just now tailing her? So they weren't earlier when she was killing the guy?
Right.
Like,
I think they were just outside of her apartment waiting for her to come home.
yeah, I know, but she like left earlier, so
they may not have been out there when she left.
Not. Handy. It's very.
I
handy.
think the detectives pulled up outside of her apartment after she had already left the house to go kill John Lamont or Labat.
Labat, yeah. I don't know. It's just very handy.
She came home after doing that. They were already there, and now she's leaving again to go to the house.
Well, regardless,
and they're following her.
It's very nice because had they been there earlier, she would have been arrested for murder or attempted murder. But now, they're going to save her life, basically. So good for her at the cost of their own. Haha. So yeah, no, they go to this. They follow. There's a funicular in this movie. That's the little
gondola.
It's like a little train thing.
Yeah.
That goes. We saw one in France.
You have to take one to get up to the property because it's on a steep hill.
It's a super steep hill. It's like a tiny little train car thing,
it's on a little track that just climbs the hill for you.
Yeah, and they're like, well, should we take her? And then Not Scully was like, let's see what she does.
Yeah, let's wait and see what she does.
Yeah, but it's called a funicular. Funicular? Whatever.
You say so. They refer to it as a gondola in the movie.
Well, it's technically what it's called. But yeah, so she takes it up to the hill. And this is the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood house. It's Leonardo DiCaprio. No, it's not.
Is it the Manson home or something?
No. I don't know, because he lives next door to the other guy. He doesn't live in like a hugely mansion house.
I don't know.
Whatever. It's a house that you've seen.
As soon as I saw this house, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood flashed in my head.
Okay.
So it's in there somewhere.
Okay.
From what I
It's a very distant, and you just see the front door. But and I went on this whole.
Yeah, I'm sure that this movie has, or this house
very distinctive.
Yeah, this house has been in several movies. It had to have been. Just the outside of it, the front door and everything. It looks like something out of Boogie Nights even.
Yeah, because it's got the big doors and then like the kind of half circle of wood that I know there's a little patio behind there because whatever fucking movie I'm thinking of, like they have to try and get out that way because there's like a shootout. Someone comes in with a bunch of guns and start killing people. There's a woman who lives there who has a lot of expensive artwork. And what the fuck? I don't remember what fucking movie this is.
I have no idea.
And Google couldn't help me, but I swear I didn't make it up. But yeah, so I don't know, man. She just walks in the house right in the front door.
Right. And which is kind of weird because you would think that like a house like this, why would they keep the front door unlocked?
Well, and why is she just that much of a bad bitch girl boss that she's just it would make more sense to like scout the area and like
take someone with you?
Well, yeah, or at least let Teddy know because clearly he's willing to kill for you.
Look, she could have taken Teddy and then the guy from the bar.
Yeah.
She could have had the guy from the bar go in with her and have Teddy on outside as a lookout. Yeah.
Or she could have at least walked the perimeter and not gone in the front fucking door.
Yeah, you don't want to do this by yourself.
You don't know who's there.
She could have been walking into a house full of people.
And she was.
Yeah.
She did. Luckily, they know all about her and are there for her. So,
yeah.
I will say this is where this movie gets fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. It fell apart for me as well. The reveal of who the killer is, the whole connection that it has with Maxxine.
There's a lot of problems.
And it also doesn't make sense because of the motives of the killer.
It's very strange.
Well, no. I take that back. The motives make sense because of who he is and what he is trying to do, which is make money.
But up until this, like...
He is trying to make money and also bring Maxxine back into what she used to be.
But I don't understand, because he's convinced... Anyways, the killer is her dad.
Yeah, she opens the door. She's creeping up the stairs. As she's going up the stairs, she's hearing the video playing that opened the movie of her and her father doing the whole routine, the dance routine, and her father telling her...
accept the life I do not
Yes. So as she goes up the stairs, she enters the room and sees that video playing, and her dad is sitting at the desk, and he's like, I was hoping that you would come, and it's important that we meet here today because
Hollywood stole you from me, and I did all of this for you. It's so dumb, man. Yeah. He's got this cult.
So the idea here is that he is such a successful preacher,
I guess,
televangelist, if you will, that he has afforded himself one of the most expensive homes in the world under the Hollywood sign.
Which is totally possible. Think of Joel Osteen and shit like that. Like, that is absolutely possible.
But if you were a preacher and you believed anything about the shit you were saying, why would you buy a house under the fucking Hollywood sign, which might as well be the fucking mark of the devil?
Yeah. Well, and he even goes into all of that about how, Hollywood's the devil.
Yeah.
And you've been possessed and we got to exorcise you. And if it doesn't work, then we're going to mark you with the sign of the beast.
This location does not make sense for him.
His motives don't make sense to me either. He was just a preacher. Like, up until now.
No. His motive, we find out. So once he confronts Maxine, he has his cult come in and take her away. And he ties her to a tree in the backyard. Like, there's a courtyard in the backyard with a swimming pool.
And stuff like that.
And he's explaining to her that, like, I am making a movie about the evils of Hollywood, right? I am going to expose everything to the world once and for all about what Hollywood does and what it's doing to our kids. And it's warping the minds of our youth. And it's taking our nation in a direction it does not need to go. And the finale for me is going to be saving your soul.
Okay, I'm doing what you wanted. I'm going to make you the most famous, more than Hollywood could ever do.
I'm going to put you in a film. I'm going to save your soul. It's going to make me super fucking famous and rich, and it's going to expose Hollywood for the
satanic,
the satanic playground that it is.
Well, yeah. Before that, she does. There's a suitcase that has Molly's head in it that goes
as she's backing away from him before they take her away.
Reveal where she's like, oh.
At the end of the stairs, there's a suitcase that she knocks down the stairs, and
it's got
Molly's head flies out of it.
And he puts a bag over her head.
Yep.
To choke her out and you were yelling at the TV.
If anybody puts a bag over your head.
And your hands are free.
A plastic bag.
And your hands are free.
Poke a hole in the mouth.
Yeah. Like, her mouth is open. I'm like, dude. It's like.
Poke a hole in the bag. It's very thin. You can do it.
You can do it.
It's possible.
Especially when your mouth is open, you just right in the middle there.
Yeah. It would have been very easy for her to not pass out, but she does.
At the TV and that entertained me.
When she wakes up tied to the tree.
Yeah, she has a flashback to the audition. But that's neither really here nor there. Yeah, she's tied to this palm tree and blindfolded. Weird cult movie set in the house. And he's gonna do an exorcism. And he has this brand with a pentagram.
So he's doing all his shtick, right? Out, demon!
Jesus Christ, you legit scared me right there. What the fuck?
That type of shit where they push her forehead and all that garbage.
Yeah.
And he's really playing it up. And now he's telling her that you can either get this demon out of you, or I'm going to brand you with a mark.
Yeah, because that's what happened to the other girls. They couldn't accept God's love.
Right, because if you're going to be a demon, then we're going to know that you're walking among us by branding your face, basically.
Yeah, I think the actor thought he was getting paid more if he opened his mouth wider. Everything.
Oh, yeah, he's really playing this up.
So Kevin Bacon is overacting in a way that's fun. We'll disregard the accent, okay? He still is very much having fun playing this character. Mm-hmm. This guy...
He's off-putting.
I don't like him. I mean, obviously you're not supposed to like him, but the way his mouth is so wide.
Any one of these flim-flam television preachers.
I guess. I don't.
That just they're there to make money. They don't give a shit about the Lord or Jesus Christ or saving your soul. They want to make money. That is it. That is the entire point.
Yeah. So anyways, he's about to brand her. And of course the detectives are like, get your hands in there. Did they wait for backup? Did they call backup the moment, No. They rushed in, guns drawn.
Yeah, right before he's able to brand her.
There are many cult members, okay? Yeah. It's not just him and two other guys.
And they all have sawed-off shotguns.
Yeah, and robes and cameras. It's fucking weird, man.
This is not done well.
I don't like it.
And honestly, for a finale in a trilogy,
it's weak.
It's very weak.
It's weak,
in my opinion.
I don't like that this is where it all went to. But people there's a shootout and the dad skitters away.
He gets shot. He drops the brand. It lands next to his robe and sets him on fire.
I will say, smart man immediately jumps in the pool.
Yes.
Because that's what
he
you
gets in
should
the
do.
pool, and then they start doing their shootout.
Yeah.
He gets out of the pool and runs up towards the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
That's just
and,
in his
cult
backyard.
members are getting shot and blah, blah, blah.
Maxine is tied to the tree still, so she pulls a switchblade out of her pocket. She manages to wrangle her knife out of her pocket.
Yeah, and she's immediately pulled into the pool by one of the cultists who had gotten shot.
Yes.
And like fell in the pool, not the dad. Many people ended up in the pool.
So she winds up stabbing him up the nose into his brain.
Underwater
with her knife.
Yeah. So then she gets out. And at that point, like she gets out and Not Scully is like, Maxine, like get over here, backup's on the way. And she looks down and sees a gun at her feet and she's like, so am I. Which again, I appreciate that. That was good.
Yeah, so she grabs the sawed off.
Yeah, and starts up towards the Hollywood sign.
The two detectives are already up there having a shootout with her father.
Yeah, there's dead cultists around. And the guy, Not Mulder, is like sitting down.
He's been shot. So
and
the female detective is telling her, hey, sit here, keep pressure on this wound. I'm going to go after your dad.
Right. I got it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, she says I got him in a bit. Yeah. She's like, you stay here. Backup's on the way. Stay with him. I'm going to go after the guy. And Not Mulder dies. He dies.
Yep. So Maxine takes off after.
Well, she starts to, but then Not Scully comes back and she's got a cross like through her eye, this like black metal cross sticking out, and she's like screaming, I got him! I got him!
And then she falls down.
Dies. I'm like,
she falls down the hill and dies.
It's so dumb, man. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she has a crucifix sticking out of her eye.
Obviously, Ti West wanted like a showdown, right? A one-on-one. This is a...
Yeah. So by the time Maxine gets to her father, he's already incapacitated on his back. He's bleeding. He's dying.
Yeah. And he's talking about it was all for you. Like I was only giving you what you wanted. The helicopter, like police copter, shows up. Like so, there's lights everywhere, and they're like, put down the weapon. You are surrounded.
Yeah, her father is just like, you're breathtaking in this light.
Yeah, in this light, my shining star.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, and then there's a time skip, and Richard Ramirez was caught. Okay? Like, this time gets fucking weird here for a little bit, and it's not super clear necessarily.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're beautiful in this light, my shining star. Time skip to a news report of the Night Stalker being caught.
Yeah, and then it's not the Night Stalker getting caught like intertwined with Maxine's rise to stardom.
Yeah,
walking the red
now
carpet.
A star. She's doing an interview with Teddy next to her.
The Puritan 2 has been a big success.
Yeah, the movie premieres at Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Yeah.
Which, okay. And yeah, they were talking about how she'd sold the rights to her life story and Elizabeth Bender's going to direct
She's being interviewed by a reporter.
Yeah, about how, like the serial killer was just caught, but you also like caught somebody who was killing a lot of women and like, how does it make you feel? And
what is your message to women out there who want to come to Hollywood and be like you?
And she's like, never give up no matter what. It's like my daddy had a line he always said.
Then we cut back to present.
Yeah.
Where she is standing above her father with the gun.
Yeah, and she says,
and she's like, say the line with me, Daddy. And
I will not accept a life I do not deserve. And she said, you didn't fail me, Daddy. You gave me just what I needed. Divine intervention.
And then she shoots him in the face.
I don't know, man. Not a fan. Then it's 1 month later. This movie's almost over, man. It's 1 month later, and she's in her trailer doing coke because it's Maxine. This guy comes in. Hey, they're ready for you. They're ready on set. And she looks in the mirror and she says, you're a fucking star. Like she does that whole thing. She does this in X too, where she like stares at herself in the mirror and just kind of focuses. You are a fucking star. And then on set, Elizabeth and, all the crew and everybody are there and they take a moment to remember Molly. She was a part of the first movie. She was going to be in this one. And everyone just kind of stands there. Elizabeth, to her credit, seems sincere. Most other people are kind of looking around, like they have their, it's like, okay, I don't know about you, but like when, my nanny and grandpa said grace, right? At the beginning of the meal. And me and my sisters would sit there with our heads down, holding hands, because it's what you're supposed to do in a good Christian home. But none of us ever gave a shit about that. So we'd like look at each other and be like,
Yeah.
Can I eat my potatoes now? You know, so it was that kind
Sneaking
of...
a peek.
Yeah. They're not looking. Because I'm a heathen child. And it was that kind of vibe to me. Like, because people were looking around like, is it time? Have we honored her long enough?
Yeah, exactly.
Can we fucking move on?
And when they're showing Maxxine the bust of her head, the severed head for the movie.
Yeah, because the guy's like, all right, back to work, everyone. Yeah. So yeah. And Elizabeth and Maxxine like come and talk, and she's like, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna watch the dream sequence. We want to see your head. Yeah. You know, and they're looking on like
so lifelike.
The little TV thing.
Yeah, they're looking at the monitor.
Monitor, that's the word. What am I, a writer? So, and they're looking at it and they're like, oh, it looks pretty cool. So clearly she did at some point go back and actually sit through her fear. And once
I feel like once this ordeal was over, she had no more fear.
Fully devoted, right? Yeah. Which is what, and she got it all done in a week. I mean, she did what Elizabeth told her to.
Yeah.
So good for her. So, yeah, and they're talking, and Elizabeth's like, you know, you've made quite a name for yourself. What's next? What do you want to do next? And
I just don't want it to end.
Yeah, Maxine says, I just never wanted to end. So, of course, that's where it ends.
That's where the movie ends.
So
credits.
Yeah, it's like a close-up on the fake head on the bed.
Yeah,
and it scrolls out and then goes out of the lot and then like up to the Hollywood Hills and up to the...
and then the Hollywood sign is replaced by Maxxine.
Yeah, it says Maxxine, and then it goes up into the stars, I guess the shining stars.
Yeah.
The Betty Davis Eyes song plays.
All in all,
and that's the end of this trilogy.
It was fine. I didn't hate the movie. I didn't hate any of these movies. They're enjoyable. I mean, I don't know.
There are things that I enjoyed in all of them. I still think X is my least favorite. This one had more moments with more characters that I enjoyed. People like Teddy Knight Esquire added a lot. Leon while he was here. I liked Elizabeth. I like her as a possible kind of role model-ish for Maxxine. Because she is a woman who is an artist who is determined to have her vision shown to the world. And she is known. She has made it. You know?
I feel like the secondary characters in this movie, they were not given the amount of time necessary to develop into characters.
Interesting.
Like they do in X or Pearl.
I feel like
because you look at with X, right? There's that entire scene where they're just sitting around playing guitar and singing. There's a lot of that you get out of that.
I guess.
There's not any moments like that in Maxxine.
Well, I mean, there's some like she and Leon are watching movies.
With Pearl, you had the projectionist.
Yeah.
That was a whole thing that developed there. He had time to develop so that when he died, you were like, "Aw."
I feel like you get to learn Teddy though, because she goes to his office. They have a lot of conversations, and then through his.
I guess, but Leon was not.
No, I think I just like him.
He wasn't well developed.
I wished he didn't.
He was just an interesting character that they could have done more with.
Yeah, no, that's true. You get some out of Elizabeth. She and Elizabeth have some good conversations about success and dedication and stuff like that.
I just feel like the plot in this, the movie itself was kind of a slow burn, but then the character development was also rushed. And it's weird. It's very strange how that worked out. But
I see where you're coming from. I do. I think you were affected by it more than I was. I just didn't.
It just seems to me like the characters in Maxxine were there to. A lot of them were just there to be fodder for the plot,
That's
right?
How
to
I felt
be
about X.
killed.
Are you kidding me? That's more of a.
But there wasn't.
Movie.
At least with X, you had a development there. Like even the first half of the movie, when it came to X, just them hanging out at the bar and then deciding to go on this road trip, and then the interactions in the gas station, and then getting to the farm and the interactions they have while they're at the farm before the killings even start.
Yeah, I feel like that's more of an ensemble thing, but I didn't like most of those people. Whereas here, I feel like most of the people, I liked what's her head, the blonde in X, Bobby Lynn. Yeah, I enjoyed her.
Wayne was kind of.
I did not like him at all. He's fucking gross.
Jackson
I
was
liked
likable.
Jackson, even though he never wore pants.
Maxine was my least favorite part. Not my least favorite part, but she was just
bitch cunt of a girlfriend of RJ's is my least favorite part.
Maxine was not like my favorite part of X. It was Pearl.
She's definite.
Bobby Lynn.
This is more her movie, and obviously, I mean, which is good because it's named after her. Mm-hmm. But this is definitely us following her story, whereas that was just kind of a location. You know, the farm was a character of it in and of itself. You had Howard and Pearl's shit.
Right.
You know, we were confined there. This one's much more sprawling. There's lots more locations, and we're following her, you know, like going through all this shit that's happening while also dealing with demons from her past, like literally, and then like her dumb father, which I don't.
I really wish they hadn't gone that route.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
I really wish that they had just made it Howard. Yeah, that would have been way more fulfilling for me. And
who cares if it was like an old ass man who had had a heart attack? He doesn't get physical ever. Like, he could have totally just stood there. He could have hired a private investigator who killed my fucking wife.
Yeah.
My wife of how long? Because so much of X, as far as like Howard and Pearl, I know you were grossed out by the fact that they still loved each other after so long. But like, that was a thing and it meant something to me. I was touched by that. And so it would make sense for him to have this break. I mean, literally, what would he have to lose? What does he have to live for at this point? He's old as shit.
Right.
The woman he had devoted his life to is dead.
Yeah.
His farm was turned into a fucking nightmare.
The motive there would have been amazing.
Yeah.
I think it would have been great if they had if they had used our idea for the Howard plot and then had
why didn't you fucking listen to us?
And then had them like kill each other.
Sure. Go out in a blaze of glory. Yeah. And have her become infamous that way.
Because look, Maxine, while she is a good character, like I think she's legitimately a good character. Mia Goth handles the role very well.
Mia Goth does an amazing job. I just
at the end of the day, as a viewer watching these movies,
I don't really care if she succeeds. I kind of don't want her to because she's kind of garbage.
So it would be more impactful for me if like Howard had been the killer and they had killed each other.
Sure.
Into the trilogy there. And even if Ti West, you know, like he said, he was open to the idea of doing more of these films, it wouldn't have to be after Maxine. It could be
at any
It could be at the point between 1979 and 1985.
Or even between Pearl and X. You're telling me nothing happened? Like, it ends with Pearl, like Howard coming home and Pearl's just standing there with her smile going more and more demented.
You could have focused on the character in X, the guy who goes missing, the delivery boy that goes missing on the fucking milk carton.
Yeah. How about Adventures of Theta? What fucking happened to the gator?
Yeah, the origin of Theta. There you go. Let's get that out of the way.
There's lots of possibilities.
Yeah. So, but
the father being the killer was I
got to be real honest. I think
I didn't think of it because
I think adding any more movies to this is just going to ruin it.
I don't think he'd do. I don't think he would address anything that I really still want fucking addressed after watching 3 of these movies. So please just don't.
Yeah. And also, like, if he goes beyond, you know, the timeline of Maxine, what is that movie going to look like? She's tied up. She's already going to be a star. What is she going to be dealing with? She solved all her problems.
Yeah. Maybe that's when Howard comes back.
God, what are we going to do? 1993?
Like I said, Ti West, huge fan of this podcast. Dude, just give us credits. You take that idea, please. Go for it. Just credit us.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, man.
I do feel like this was the weaker of the 3 movies for me.
We agree that Pearl is the strongest.
The reason why is because of just the like.
I liked more of the people in this movie and more people made it. I like this style of movie more than it's like just your run of the mill kind of slasher thing. Although there were more scenes in this movie that squicked me out.
Yeah,
that was
for sure.
Fucking the scrotum.
I mean, I liked the idea of having it set during the Night Stalker situation.
See,
but
I don't know that I do.
It just wasn't.
It's so heavy-handed,
as well as it could have been.
And I mean, obviously, Richard Ramirez wouldn't have anything to do with it. If you know anything about him, this is
right.
No. So I am glad
it was a red herring for the audience.
Yeah, well, but only the people who don't know anything. For me, I would just sat there going...
Your average everyday normie watching a movie like this probably doesn't know the history of the Night Stalker and Richard Ramirez.
What is that life like? But for people who would watch this movie, I feel like would be the type of people who are into true crime and stuff like that.
Or if they're not familiar with it, watching this movie might get them to go and look into the Night Stalker.
Go listen to the last podcast.
Yeah, they did
series on that.
They did a fantastic series on Richard Ramirez. I highly recommend it.
It's great.
It's one of their deep dives.
Yeah, Gold Star.
Deep dives into their big hitters or heavy hitters. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good one. It's no Pee Wee Gaskins, but we're not getting sidetracked.
No.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I can't decide if I like the Night Stalker shit or not because it was constant and all throughout, but never had anything to do with anything. Because like the dad didn't even say, oh, and I used the supposedly satanic symbolism shit because of the Night Stalker. That's purely coincidental and is never addressed.
Yeah, it's almost like he didn't even have any idea that the Night Stalker shit was happening.
The news.
No, not at all.
It's completely irrelevant to his motives.
Yeah. And I also thought that it was kind of wasted that like his death should have been some kind of Christian symbolism, right?
Sure.
Crucified
on the Hollywood sign or something?
Or just having like a crucifix fall on him and crush him. You know, just something where it's like, oh, this religious icon murdering the preacher, you know?
Well, and he had a good death for him because like his daughter is above him, you know, highlighted, no doubt very angelic, you know, with that like backlighting.
It could have been done better. It could have done... It could have been done better.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't necessarily like just shitting on things. I definitely had issues with this movie. I had issues with the trilogy as a whole. I kind of think Pearl is left best as a standalone. I would like that best if it's just this one story about this demented farm girl.
Yeah, Pearl was very enjoyable.
Left open-ended with Howard coming home.
You honestly, you don't have to watch X or Maxxine to enjoy Pearl. You don't have to watch any of these movies to enjoy them by themselves.
And you will see little breadcrumbs between scattered through, like the Theta, you know, thing and stuff that I do enjoy picking up on little things, but there's still major questions that were never fucking resolved, and that irritates me.
Yeah. Personally, I think that this was an enjoyable experience, honestly, because look, what have I been bitching about not only in my daily life, but on this podcast for a long time? We never get anything original anymore.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
This is kind of refreshing because, I mean, we're talking about it.
Well, yeah, because you wanted me to.
I don't...
I would not have chosen to
I don't
watch
really
this.
have much to say about new films, ever. Like, most movies that I watch that are new, like if it's a Ghostbusters or something, that some property that they dug up from the 80s and they're dusting off now, if I watch them, I don't really have much to say about them.
I don't watch movies much anymore. I mean, I've been watching body cam footage on YouTube and then playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing, okay?
Yeah, I pretty much actively avoid modern cinema.
Yeah.
It's just not really up my alley anymore. And this was definitely a breath of fresh air for me.
It does have its own identity.
Yeah.
There is a very strong stamp of the director throughout. There are a lot of artistic choices, like from the look to the music to in all these very distinct time periods that work really well.
Right.
I just have some writing and plot issues. Because the acting across the board, aside from the father and Kevin Bacon's accent, is stellar. Mm-hmm. Everyone does great.
Yeah.
There's some things that just get under my skin. So.
All in all, I say that the trilogy as a whole, I give it a 7.
I give it a meh. I give Pearl a hell yeah.
Pearl for me is like
that was good.
8.5 or a 9.
Yeah.
And then X is more on the, I'd say X and Pearl. X is probably a 6, whereas Maxxine is a 5.
I don't see it. I'd say like X.
I'd say X is slightly better than Maxxine.
It's hard to say because again, X is very well made, and it is very immersive in the locale and the time frame.
Yeah,
I just don't like some of the shit that happens.
Well, you also kind of have to like that genre and that era, and you don't like either of those things.
I don't.
Yeah.
But that being said, I still really liked Bobby Lynn. I still like Theta.
Yeah.
I don't like that they met.
There's something.
I like the older stuff with Howard and Pearl. Like, you don't see, even though she's clearly sick in the head and has been since he's known her, he still loves her. And you don't see a lot of examples of people who have made it that long, no matter what, and that mutual respect they have. So I like that.
There's definitely something to enjoy in all of these movies for anybody watching.
I don't regret having watched any of them.
No, me either.
Will I watch them again? Probably not.
I will. I'm going to give it some time though. I'm going to give it a year or two.
Probably not.
Maybe revisit it later, but
I don't know. I either latch onto things and rewatch them compulsively or view them once and never again. There's like no in between. So none of them made it into my, oh, fuck yeah, this is going to go in the rotation of what do I watch when I'm bored.
So trilogy as a whole, what rating do you give it?
Half a cheeseburger. I don't know. I don't do the rating thing. Overall, I would say, like I said, there's more good and there's more to enjoy than not. Yeah. It's not perfect. No. There are things that irritate me. If you are just an average normie person watching a movie, you're not going to pick up on the plot holes and shit. If you actually think about it for a minute, and especially if you how to turn off that, especially if you have discussions with people about this that are smarter than your average moviegoer, you're going to pick these things apart pretty quick. Yeah. There are definite things that happen that you're just like, what? That somebody like Ti West should not be doing. I mean, honestly, there's reasons to watch all of them. There's different characters, and even if I don't agree with Mia Goth's, not her, but Maxine, there's a lot I don't really like about her as a person necessarily, but Mia Goth's performance is something to be watched. Like, you want to watch this girl do any of her monologues in any of the movies. Yeah. Like, Maxine is definitely, her character is definitely a style over substance character. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, she is pretty. She is kick-ass. She's a badass. Everywhere she goes, she commands respect, even though she came from... Even if she doesn't get any, she will find a way to scrub out some. Yeah. She has all those, especially in like Maxine, right? She has that iconic moment with the look, with the makeup and the hair and the outfit that she's in. And like I said, throwing Kevin Bacon's line back at him. She looked like Jim from Jim and the Holograms. You know, like that still resonates with people our age, maybe even a little younger, or a little older. But I could see why people love Maxine as a character, because she's an idea. Oh yeah, more than for sure. And I do, it's form over function. I do like the way she handles some things. I like that, like, she is a believable bad bitch. Yeah, like, because she wasn't in X, right? At the beginning, especially, she is someone who became who she is through the trials and tribulations she's been through. It changed her. She's grown harder than she used to be, you know, and I like that. You can see the evolution of her as a person. I just don't much like the person she's become. Yeah, because she's also very like, she's lacking empathy. Very much so. Except in that one moment where her heart grew half a size and she was like, actually, I'm going to go. Which when that happens, it feels off, because it doesn't make sense for the character, which is another one of those writing mistakes. What was her dad going to do if she didn't show up? What in the world? He was going to sit there and watch home movies and then go try to find her again. I guess. I mean, at this point, he didn't even know that his detective was dead. So I guess he was just going to keep having him follow her around until he could convince her to come up to his house. But he already knows where she lives. They were sitting outside her fucking apartment. Yeah. Like, when we first meet Kevin Bacon, they are sitting outside of her apartment and the video store. Her father needed her on his property to film. So why couldn't the finale for his movie? His cultists to just go kidnap her? Exactly.
any other movie would have done that.
God, whatever. Anyways, overall, the trilogy it invites a lot of good discussion. I'll say that.
Yeah.
For good or bad, the positives and negatives, because it's full of both.
And I would say it's
but they're fun to talk about and fun to kind of get mad at in certain ways.
And I mean, it's enjoyable. You're not wasting your time watching these movies. I didn't.
Well, we're recording podcast episodes for it, so no. It's nothing.
I mean, podcast aside, even if I just watched these movies for fun, I still would have enjoyed them.
I don't. I watched them with a very analytical eye. It's nothing that I would probably choose to watch, but I'm glad we did because, like I said, it led to cool discussion.
Right.
So for that reason,
we need to highlight things like this because we sadly need new ideas coming into Hollywood.
Just plot threads are a thing, guys. Make sure you tie them up. Tie them up.
Speaking of tying it up,
I was gonna say, why don't we tie this fucking episode up?
We can call that an episode. Jess, where can people find you?
I am Jess Moon. I'm at JHL Moon. On Instagram. I got a new phone not too long ago, and I can't log into Twitter on it. It just tells me, oops, looks like something went wrong. So don't bother looking for me on Twitter. I won't fucking be there. Just come find me on Instagram at JHL Moon.
Yeah.
Or shadowsparkpub.com, my publishing house. I'm
on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Chad J. Moon. The podcast has an Instagram account at the_pretty_little_podcast. You can also catch us on YouTube at youtube.com/@theprettylittle podcast 69420.
I'm celebrating silently because you got it right the first time. I'm so proud. Good job.
Yeah, I didn't have to edit out 15 takes. That was great.
I was keeping it quiet, but yeah, then you drew attention to it. Anyways, whatever. See you guys later. We love you.
Thanks for listening.
Like, comment, subscribe, tell us shit.
Have a wonderful week.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.